Why is this screen always fucking going dark? I'm having all sorts of equipment issues, but this time I think we're going to be able to get it back up. The damn tablets downloaded, they upgraded the software and they downloaded shit on the device that made it almost impossible to do live off of. So that's what we've been having problems with. But hopefully we'll be back. We'll be ready to go in a minute here. Um, you get those updates in the middle of the night, and that's what happened here. Is the device is updated in the middle of the night, and they changed the way the software is ran, and it just really threw off YouTube's the way YouTube does the lives, the way I can go on live. So first in line, Creed, good evening. Good to see you on here. I should have been live 20 damn minutes ago, but I've been trying to figure out the changes to the way my tablet updated. Samsung sends out an update and it really screwed up the way my tablets operate, or the way YouTube operates in line with the tablets. It really threw them off. And I'm currently getting the YouTube horizontal tablet going here, and yeah, it really fucked up stuff. So hopefully we can make this happen moment here. Um, I wish they gave you somewhat of a option whether you want these updates or not. You can delay it, but for the most part, they want to do this to your devices. You don't have an option to turn it down in a lot of cases. I mean, you have to let them put these updates on your devices, and it really can alter how you use the device. I see somebody said I'm buffering. Hold on, let me see if I can put that on Wi-Fi. I think I can stop the buffering. You look like a police officer. Really? Okay. I haven't heard that one before. You telling me I look like the cops? Mm, all right. Fair enough. I mean, I respect law enforcement. I don't take any odds at being told I look like the cops. I mean, I'm not, but I don't take any odds with it. I got respect. I got love for law enforcement when they do their job properly. I don't support all of the bullshit like the blue wall and all of that other crazy shit they do. But when they do their gig right, it's okay. They all right. Let's see here. We're gonna be talking about. I'm asking the question today. What does MAGA mean to you? I mean, it's a simple question. What does "Make America Great" mean to you? And we're also going to be asking a simple question of, hell, are we there yet? Are we great yet? Have we reached the pinnacle of greatness? Now, Trump has only been president for a short period of time, so you can only expect so much. But are we great yet? Just want to ask that question. Have we reached greatness yet? Are we on par to be great? What the hell's going on? Yeah, this fucking tablet is not going to do it. It's telling me to rotate it or whatever the hell it's telling me to do, and it's just not taking it. I don't fucking know, and I hate that. Okay, let me go ahead and start the program. We'll figure it out as we go along. And as always, what up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Just a whole lot of equipment issues, but we're going to go ahead and run the live stream. But what we have here, we're on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Not on YouTube horizontal until I can figure out what's going on with the device there. But I'm asking the question: are we great yet? And I'm also going to follow it up by asking you, what does "Make America Great Again" mean to you? You've heard the statement over and over again. You're seeing the hats every damn where. Hell, you even see me routinely waving it around here. I don't know where my "Keep America Great" hat is went, but you've seen me even waving it around. But what does "Make America Great Again" mean to you? What would a great America look like? What do you think it would take to make this country great? Because That is something people are wondering. What does greatness in this country even look like? Is it achievable? Does Trump have us on the path to greatness? I mean, this is the guy we elected. This is the individual we put in charge. You see him there wearing a Make America Great Again hat. You see there in the picture there. I'm asking, simply put, what does Make America Great Again mean to you? Looking in the comments right off the bat, Benjamin Wu says Uncle Tom has nothing on this loser. Now, obviously, we don't block, ban, or censor. Make that clear. We don't block, ban, or censor. We are indeed MAGA friendly. I say that all the damn time. You can be critical of anyone in the comment section, up to and including yours truly. So we do have one already starting out by saying Uncle Tom has nothing on his loser. Benjamin Wu, I don't know if you're new to the program. I'm going to assume you are, because of the simple statement you made. If you knew how the program was ran, if you knew the politics of the program, you probably wouldn't make that statement. So, but I do appreciate you putting in your input. You don't like the host, I get it. You refer to the host as a loser, as an Uncle Tom. Feel free to continue chiming in. We'll read your comments as they come through, but my guess is you're new to the program. Thanks for your input, though. Uncle Tom is not a bad slur, says C note. Well, let's be clear. Neither is calling somebody the N word, depending on who it's coming from. My guess is a stranger that knows nothing about you calling you an Uncle Tom, it probably ain't meant to be a compliment. Even if it's not an insult, as you're suggesting, you're probably hearing it from somebody who doesn't realize it's not an insult. They're intending for it to be an insult, whether it's one or not. So the intention was for it to be insulting. I don't mind getting insulted. Listen, at the end of the day, I don't know every damn thing. Neither do any of you. That's why we have a free speech forum, so we can all speak, exchange ideas, offer compliments, criticisms, concerns, and we'll make it work somewhere in the middle. Why do we always say we go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q and everybody gets to speak? So feel free to state it, but I don't think it was meant as a compliment from that individual. Benjamin, the MAGA merch is bait. I'm not gonna say that. I don't. Well, if you take the MAGA merch as bait, you can do that. But the whole purpose of the MAGA merchandise you see behind is, I do believe that Republicans, conservatives, and definitely MAGA do not get a fair shake in the media. So you're always going to see that. You're going to see the hat, because I do believe that MAGA should be allowed to speak just like every damn body else. And when you're here, you will be allowed to speak. We are MAGA friendly. So that's what the purpose of the hat, or as you say, the MAGA merchandise is. What does Make America Great mean to you? How many? Let me ask it this way. Do you see a better America now that we've gotten rid of Biden and we have denounced any chance of Kamala Harris becoming president? Do you feel more confident in the direction America's going now? How do you feel? Are you feeling better? Or do you see this country as improving economically, security wise, our projection on the world stage? Are you feeling somewhat better now that we have a different president from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was not successful? We have reelected Trump. How are you feeling? I guess I would say it like this. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're feeling pretty damn good about the direction this country is going in. From 0 to 10, give me your number in the comments. How confident are you feeling about the direction this country is headed in now that we've gotten rid of Biden and shown Kamala Harris the door? 1 to 10, how confident you're feeling. If Harris was elected, we would be in trouble, says Ricky. Well, I'd be curious to know in what manner would we be in trouble, because there are some who would suggest we're in trouble now. So it depends on what your opinion is of trouble. Doesn't matter who is in the White House. There are going to be people who are going to say we're in trouble. So it depends on where you're going with that. But let me know in the comments. Looking in the comments, the secret government RE elected that motherfucker. You saying the secret government elected Biden or Trump? Our economy is in the gutter, man. Harris was right about everything. Well, you're saying Harris was right about everything. Where's my? I'm just. I have a. Trump was right about everything. Had around here somewhere. I don't know where it went, but Kamala Harris was right about everything. That's the first I've ever heard of that. Wow. Kamala Harris was right about everything, huh? I'd be curious to know what she was right about. But we're asking that question. Um, are we great yet? What does a America that is considered as great, what is that like in your eyes in particular? Just a one topic show. What would this country be like in your opinion if we were great? I need the parameters, I need the specifications. What are the features of a great America? Are we there yet? Are we on the path to that? Great. Harris said he would have armed forces in the streets, says Rabbi. It does seem like she might be somewhat right about that. Have any? I wish I had it to bring up to show you, but and I do have a map of it. Has anybody seen? Because it's been on social media, it's been on TikTok. It's a map of Los Angeles, all of the different neighborhoods, Watts, Compton, all of the Pasadena, all the different areas out there. And then it shows you the tiny, tiny area that the riots are taking place in. Has anybody seen that map? Because when you look at it, you do have to wonder why the hell did you send the Marines to that? I mean, it is really, really small. It's not even 1% of the geographic area of Los Angeles. It's not even 1%. They've shown maps and they show you the little bit of area, whereas the riots are taking. Why did he? 134 million bucks. 134 million bucks to dispatch the Marines there. Why? And was it necessary? Now I'm going to tell you right off the bat. I think I can answer that question for MAGA, and the answer would be yes, it was necessary. Yes, it was a good idea. And I'm just going to tell you my opinion is simply because you're sticking it to the Hispanic community. I don't think there's going to be any admonishment, any disciplinary action taken against that community that MAGA is going to feel is overstepping. I mean, you want that community to pay full retail. So I don't think MAGA, look, there are plenty of MAGA that'll say, look, I don't give a damn about the $134 million it took to send Marines there. I would even contribute some of my own salary, just get the job done. They want that to be dealt with. But 134 million bucks. So what does America dealing with greatness look like? That's what we want to talk about. I'm going to go to the box. No violence escalated because that whole fucking region is violent, says Jacob. Well, LA is known for its riots. I mean, that's just the way it is. LA is known for its riots. They have a history of riots taking place. I'll tell you one of the reasons likely why diversity is kind of like the fuel for disagreement and conflict. When you look at the country and you look at areas where there's little to no crime, little to no conflict, it's areas that usually do not contain diversity. If everybody thinks alike, it ain't a lot of shit to argue over. When you start, I mean, everybody is blue collar, or everybody is wealthy, or everybody is dirt poor, everybody is Christian, everybody is white, because that's usually where it happens. I mean, you're going to, those are the areas where you're going to have a lot more peace, because there's nothing to be in conflict over. Whereas when you go to the cities, you got people who are dirt poor and homeless, people who are extremely wealthy. You got blacks, whites, Muslims. You got Christians. You got everything in that area. There's a whole lot more reason for conflict to develop, which is why you often hear where all the crime is in liberal cities. Yeah, because all the diversity is there. All the diversity. You pick out an area where there's little to no crime, chances are there's very little diversity there. Everybody thinks alike. So it makes sense that most of the crime is going to be in liberal cities. Looking in the comments, what about mostly black, poor neighborhoods? Well, when you're talking about mostly black, poor neighborhoods, most of that is still big city shit. Or it's hovering near a big city. You don't generally find a horribly high crime area that is all black out in the middle of no fucking where. It's even then, it's still usually connected pretty damn close to some big city. I mean, there's all black neighborhoods all over Mississippi, all over Louisiana, but the ones that are really bad and crime ridden, they're pretty close to Jackson, Baton Rouge, New Orleans. They're pretty close to the big cities. They're not going to be out in the middle of the state somewhere. It's still close to that city. It's the diversity of the towns that cause all of that. And I can tell you this: if you do live in an all black area that's near a big city, there's a lot more people that have influence over that town than just those black people that live there. Chances are the property is owned by somebody else. The police force probably is not all black. I mean, there's a lot of other diverse aspects still governing that town. Anyway, looking in the comments, whites all moved to the suburbs. Depends on what state. Depends on what state. Let me go to the box. We started out with Dencal. What does greatness in America look like to you, Dencal? Good evening. Welcome to the program.
It's like almost the opposite of what we got going on now.
So you're
The
saying,
division, the division that's being sown in this country is pretty bad right now. I mean, we can go back a couple of decades right now with how we are divided, and people can always say, "Well, Obama started the division."
that is where you normally
Obama,
hear it. That is what people normally say.
Obama's presence, his mere being, started it because the people who didn't like him, they started coming out saying it. He didn't do anything particularly himself. It was just his presence which angered a lot of people and allowed us to get to the point where normally rational people would say, we're going to replace him with the worst of the worst.
So you see Trump replacing Obama as the worst of the worst.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what the president's job as the top diplomat, as they're supposed to be the uniter in chief, the consoler in chief, the commander of the military in chief, and from our standpoint, the world's police chief.
Mm.
He is a total opposite of anything that I saw Obama represented.
But what about Biden? He's in the middle. And when you say Trump replacing Obama during his first term, a hell of a lot of people thought he was doing a good job. They liked the economy. We've had these conversations. We didn't have any wars breaking out. People thought the price of fuel all the way up to the pandemic. People thought Trump was doing a good job.
I mean, that's all in a perspective, and I can't argue with somebody else's perspective.
Right.
Maybe they thought they did have, maybe they felt they did have more expendable dollars in their pocket back then, and but that also means that they ignored the bias coming out of them. The how he was dividing people. Yeah,
Give me give me an example of how you feel. Certainly during his first term, what was Trump doing, in your opinion, to suggest he was dividing people?
Well, we can start from day one, coming down the escalator, starting off his whole campaign with, murders and rapists.
Okay.
Then going through to Charlottesville, saying, it was good people on both sides. Like, those are divisive things where you're literally pitting people against each other. And I know that it didn't come up to his second run, but saying that Mexicans are taking black people's jobs, that's designed to be divisive.
Is there any validity to it, some might ask, though? I mean, when he says that Mexicans, illegal immigrants in this country, working for these entry level jobs, which a lot of African Americans work for those entry level jobs as well, is he not correct in saying, yeah, some of these illegal immigrants are taking jobs from black people?
Well, I mean, that could be said about anybody. He can say they're being taken from poor white people. But there's a distinction. There's a reason that he chose those two demographics to pit against each other.
Bro, shit, the white people already pitted against him. He didn't need to choose them. I mean, there's already an ample amount of white people that are pitted against him.
Right, so why say it? Why say it? Why go in there and say, well, Kamala used to be Indian, but now she black. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why inject those things
Yeah.
into the society if you're not meant to be divisive? Why say what they just said? They're sending these 5 units into Democrat cities this week. That's meant to be divisive. It's
Wait,
meant to
wait. You
say
said they're sending what into Democrat cities this week?
they're sending ICE task force into 5 Democrat cities. He's trying to get the same thing cranked up in major Democratic cities to send the military everywhere.
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this. Is as opposed to suggesting that Trump is trying to create division like in Los Angeles all over the place by sending ICE to Democrat cities. What about the notion that Democrat cities, being sanctuary areas, are where most of the illegals are? So if you want to defend the border and get illegal immigrants out of the country, Democrat cities are where you're going to have to go.
No. If you're gonna have an across the board effort to get rid of 20 million people, you don't only go to Democrat cities. The same way if you wanted to protest the legitimacy of an election, you don't just go to Democrat cities. It's meant to be defensive. No matter how you play devil's advocate, saying
Yeah, but then
out loud
Cal,
that you're gonna
under Trump, Trump's been in office 5 months or so now. He's made it clear he's gung ho about getting illegal immigrants out of this country. You gotta assume the ones who want to stay, they're going to think their best chance of riding it out is to go to cities where people are going to offer them a little bit of protection. If your goal is to deport as many of these illegal immigrants as possible, why would you be in rural Alabama? I mean, Chicago, New York, them are the places that you would go. That's where you're going to find. It's like shooting fish in a barrel in those cities.
I mean, I guess if that's your perspective, but you also have to take into account the national conscience of the people. You can't just say, there's a clear line between this and that, so I'm just going to go straight over here. When you've been saying it the whole time. Your whole point, the whole reason behind the governors of Florida and Texas sending people to those areas is to then turn around and go to those areas and get the same people that you delivered to those areas and just excuse all of the decades of immigration that's been all down in through Texas and Florida. You know how many? Look, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
They are in Texas. I'll tell you right off the bat. There are plenty of videos. ICE is deporting people in southern Texas. They are down there doing that.
That's a general statement to say they are. Are they sending large mass task force? You may have seen a raid or two, but obviously they're not doing the same thing. Well, you seen what happened in Dallas.
They did it. I was watching the video before I went live. They did it in Nebraska. They took out 100 and some folks. News Nation did a special earlier today. So that's a red area. Omaha just elected its first black mayor, but that area has been red for quite a while. I think a lot of that's due to people not liking Trump. But Nebraska's a red state, and they were in Nebraska doing raids.
Hey, I'm just telling you what I see from my perspective. I mean, there's always going to be a counter argument, no matter what I say, no matter what you say. I can always develop a counter argument. I'm just telling you what the plans have been the whole time is to attack blue cities.
I can believe it, but let me ask it to you this way. Let me appoint you as the border czar. You are now Denkel Holman. Your job is to secure the border and get folks in this country that are undocumented or illegally here out. Where would you send most of your teams? Would you send them to red areas, or would most of your teams be in blue areas?
No, because I understand this. This is not a political exercise. I would divide my people up evenly. I wouldn't go after specific areas and attack specific governors just to prove a political point. Yes, I'd send them everywhere. They'd be all over the goddamn country, evenly dispersed. They'd be doing the meat packing places. They'd be doing the farms. But they damn sure wouldn't be outside of outside of Home Depots and shit.
Well, but let's be clear. the folks that are sitting out waiting on day labor outside of Home Depot, there is a large contingent of illegal immigrants in those crowds.
Well, what I'll say first before we get too deep in this conversation is we have to understand the difference between when Trump, before he got in and after he got in.
Yeah. He changed who he was trying to deport. It went from rapists and murderers to everybody.
Yeah. We have to clear that up when we say, illegal immigrants, because millions of those people were here legally before he got in. He changed the rules to make those people who were before, they were here just, they came across the border, they claim asylum, they this and that, protected status. Everybody now is illegal.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with that. He certainly did make fugitives out of because the asylum seekers under Biden were legal immigrants in this country. And many of them had no.
During his first presidency too. It's not just they all got this status under Biden.
Yeah,
the Haitians had it, the Cubans had it under Trump, and under every president, I think since probably Clinton. I think he start the Cuban.
I don't know where it started, but Trump removed protected status. That turned a lot of people into fugitives. As we talked about the asylum seekers, a lot of the asylum seekers had no legitimate case, and some of them had not been vetted, but they were here legally, and they had court dates, and then you could figure out if you wanted to send them back or not. Trump just got rid of the entire asylum process and made them all become illegal immigrants overnight. So, he made a lot of, he literally increased the number of illegals that were in this country substantially by simply changing the law. So, he's responsible for a lot of illegal immigrants being here.
Right. And I also would not be sending them to pick people up at immigration courts.
Yeah.
Because now you make people who were here doing the process the right way, trying to gain legal status, working, paying into Social Security, doing all the things they're supposed to. Now, they scared to go to court. That's the last place you want for police to be standing outside of a courthouse.
Yeah.
In any situation, even if it's criminal, even if it's murder or rape or whatever, the last thing you want is people standing outside talking about, you know what I'm saying? When you come up out of there, we gonna pick you up.
Yeah, it makes it look like the whole thing was, as Trump would say, it makes it look like the whole thing was rigged. The guy never had a chance to stay anywhere. You got the guy waiting outside, you got him out there waiting with handcuffs. The whole immigration process is rigged. This guy is showing up for a court date you gave him. He really had no chance of ever winning. You're waiting to deport him. So, at that point, the system looks rigged.
Right, and now they put out a memo to the courts to just dismiss all of these people's cases, their immigration cases. So therefore, when they go in there, they think they got a shot at, amnesty or anything, and they go in there and they be like, your case is dismissed. Yeah. So therefore, when they walk out,
you're getting arrested.
They can take them into custody.
I've said on the program several times that if you don't have full citizenship already under the Trump administration, either self-deport or stay on the run. That court date shit is a trap. I don't think anybody. They should have that on Univision and Telemundo. Your chances of successfully winning in court are very, very low under the Trump administration. And they're not going to tell you if they have, tossed your case out or they've tossed out the avenue you were using to be here legally. They're not going to do any of that until they're putting handcuffs on you. So,
I'm sure a lot of their lawyers, even though they got a legal response, I'm sure a lot of their lawyers have probably said, okay, if I see you come this Wednesday during your appointment, don't bring no kids with you.
Right, exactly. Show up to the courthouse with the expectation there's a good possibility you may not return from whence you came. You may not be going home again. So make amends with your family before you come to court, because that might be the last spot of freedom in America you've seen. I don't know why they're still showing up to those court dates.
Like, while some of the people done did the right thing and they done paid, they've been doing this system for 10 years. They done paid $20,000 into the system, going back, making sure and now what?
My
And
guess
now,
is if you get a if you follow up the Trump administration with a liberal administration, we're gonna be paying out a ton of money in lawsuits, and some of that's gonna be going to immigrants that were wrongfully deported or sent to prison that shouldn't have been. I mean, them people going a liberal administration will actually entertain the notion that those folks have court. I mean, they have a right to sue to be made whole. Families were broken up. I mean, people have been detained for weeks and they had no reason to be detained. The process has been sloppy to say the least. A lot of innocent people have been hurt. So we'll see how that goes. But you got to get a liberal in there.
The Supreme Court ain't doing no better by slow walking this birthright citizenship stuff, only ruling on partially, but not if it's right, if the ruling and stuff, because if they come back and say, okay, he can't mess with birthright citizenship, how many people have already been hurt by that? How many people are already, now they ain't going to their appointment, so now they are the fugitive.
Yeah.
So
how do you, before I move it on from you, how do you respond to folks who look at what's going on and gleefully say, this is what we voted for, this is what we wanted?
Because it hasn't affected them yet. And I guarantee you, MAGA reacts walking around with his Egyptian ass. He gonna be next on the chopping blocks, but he don't see it. And I get it. If I was an immigrant and I came from another country and I looked at the division in this country and I said, what side do I want to be on if I got a choice? Do I want to be on the side of the marginalized, of the immigrants? Or do I want to be on what they view as the winning side? I get it. I get it.
You sound like a goldfish in a tank full of piranhas. Like, well, as long as it's those, I'm good. You do realize once they run out of those piranhas, your ass.
Next, bro.
Yeah, I mean, once they run out of those goldfish, they gonna come for you.
Yeah. One thing I want to say before I go is it was disgusting to see those military members, them army members in back of Trump yesterday cheering like they was at a Trump rally.
He's making the military. He's making it kind of political.
What? Kind of political. They said, go to military.com, the magazine. They got an article on the front page. They vetted those people by political ideology.
Really?
And by appearance, because you know how Trump is. You had to be a certain, physical, appearance, and they wanted to know whether you were down with his, what he doing, because if not, report to your command so they can remove you from the podium up there.
That may represent the whole damn military. That may represent the whole damn parade this weekend. Everybody you see walking in that might have been vetted.
Right.
Yeah.
And now they talking about look, if the I'm gonna just tell you right now, I don't give a damn if the algorithm know it or not. I'm going to the No Kings March coming up on the 14th. I'm going to be a part of the opposition to what is going on in our country. And I'm not going to throw rocks. I ain't going there to hurt nobody, but the people need to be heard. This is wrong what he's doing with our military. And that's got a special place in my heart to see these young kids being used. And what I also want to let anybody else know that's going to be attending these marches or protests, do not engage with anybody on the federal level. National Guard, ICE, anybody that's commanded through the executive branch, because this is what Trump wants to be able to declare the Insurrection Act. You can engage with local and state police, but the whole law behind what he's doing is that he's protecting federal assets. So it's a VA building or Army hospital or a federal building downtown. Leave those places alone.
All right. Fair enough, Dencal. Thank you for your service as always. Good luck. Good luck. We'll certainly talk about it in the future, man. Thank you.
Yep, take care.
All right, moving on with the program. Do I have anybody else that's going to be in any of this stuff? If you're in D.C., will you be attending the parade itself that is honoring the military and honoring Trump to a lesser degree? Or will you be taking part in any of the No Kings protests all over the nation? We talked about the No Kings stuff. I don't know if I still have the map. I don't think I have it from yesterday. I had, but oh, yeah, I do have it. The No Kings protests. Here is the map before I go to my next call. And I see in the comment section, Infinity said, wake the hell up. Tariffs, useless prices, high 24-hour war in, total bluff, Israel and Palestine, blood silence, Musk, Trump, Elon, rot runs deep. Los Angeles, just smoke and mirrors. We have been played. He's responding to the question of, are we great yet? And he's basically saying a resounding hell no. And he's pointing out all the perceived flaws that we're dealing with right now. But that's the question we're asking is, are we great right now? But real quick, the No Kings protest. Now, Trump is obviously having a parade in D.C. And some are suggesting the parade he is having kind of gives him the aura of trying to be a king, sitting there while military vehicles and soldiers are walking by, and he's sitting there in a nice, comfy chair, kind of Kim Jong Un-ish, Kim Jong Il-ish. And people are saying, look, we don't need a king in this country. So they've named the protest No Kings Day. NoKings.org. NoKings.org is where you can find out more about it if it's in your area. But if you can see on the monitor behind me, that's a map of America, and my computer's acting slow, but you can see every dot represents where there is a No Kings protest. Now, Trump has already released a statement that anyone, I guess, interfering with the day or something like that, the protesters will face basically his wrath. I forgot what term he used, but it was some strong language in regards to the protesters. So, I mean, if you're in D.C., I would highly advise you take the advice of what my last caller said. Don't engage with the federal government. Do not engage with federal structures and things like that, because it kind of gives him an excuse that he needs to be there to protect federal property and federal assets. However, you can't stop. If all of this happens like you're seeing on the monitor here, there's no way he can play strongman against all these protests. It's got to be a few hundred of them. I mean, like literally every populated city in the country is going to be protesting this shit. I don't know how you're going to have a decent celebration of the military, which is what he's trying to do, with protests breaking out all over the country in hundreds of places simultaneously. I mean, the cable news outlets, the ones that would cover his parade, they got to cover this shit. If you got hundreds of protests breaking out all over the country simultaneously, the only people that wouldn't cover that is probably Fox or OAN. But even they know it's happening. I mean, you got to cover that, and there's no way you can stop all that at the same time. Anyway, looking in the comments, are we great yet is what I'm asking. It's not a coincidence that his kind of chaos happens when Democrats lose. You really think that the chaos only happens when Democrats lose? Did you see what happened on January 6th? Did you see what happened when Obama won? There was some chaos. I mean, what do you mean that chaos only happens when Democrats lose? You think when Biden won that we were chaos free? I guess you think January 6th was a love fest, right? Stop lying, Tim. The red stars are the protests, not the blue dots. The red star is DC. I don't know if you heard me right. I mean, you clearly see the damn screen says No Kings. So you think that the dots on here, what do you think that represents? It's a No Kings map. I don't know what you're saying don't make any sense. Those are not hundreds of protests. There are 5 protests marked as red stars. There's only one red star on this map, and it's over DC. I don't think you understand what's going to really happen. You think that Trump, as controversial as he is right now, and he's going to have a military parade costing tens of millions of dollars and so many people, you really think only 5 cities in America are going to protest? You really think that? You think, I mean, Pick any 5 cities, and I'm going to name a whole bunch of other towns that you think there's not going to be a protest there. You don't think Miami, Chicago, Philly, DC, Milwaukee. You don't think 5 cities. That's all you think is going to be, huh? Only in 5 places. You got another thing coming if you believe that. Only 5 cities, huh? Out of all of these heavily populated towns, only 5 cities are going to have some shit. Even right now, there are protests happening every week, and there is no King's Day. And it's in the hundreds of cities. 5 cities. I mean, that's hilarious. Let me go back to the box. Tap the damn screen. Get us up to 30,000 in regards to the likes. We'll continue the program on with the Honorable MAGA Reacts. 5 cities, MAGA, huh? You think it's only going to be 5 cities?
I don't know, but I don't think there's going to be that many in Florida like this map shows.
Yeah, this map shows Florida so crowded that you can't even see the land under there. Well, I will tell you this. You should be able to Google No Kings Protests and the biggest city near you and see what comes up. Now, nokings.org is their actual website. So my guess is that website is also going to tell you where this is
Probably
happening.
Just a map of all like major cities. I doubt there's actually anything organized in every one of them.
I don't. 5 cities though.
I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be 5 or 10. There'll probably be a bunch of them, but they'll have like 100 people each. I don't know.
Well, shit. I mean, to be honest with you, it depends on how much damage is being done. 100 people throwing rocks can make major news. I mean, look how much press you've given Lincoln Riley's killer. You don't need but a few people doing a bunch of shit to make a lot of news.
That's a different story. But then you just arrest them. You can arrest 100 people real quick.
I think you and the viewer might be underestimating it a little bit. I mean, but you do believe it's only a handful of cities.
You know my position. I don't like to predict the future. Okay? You guys love predicting the future like you have a time machine or a crystal ball. I don't predict the future. We'll find out in a couple of days.
So let me ask you the question that we're actually talking about on the program. Are we great yet?
No, I would say not.
What does I mean, he's only been in office like 5 months, but what does greatness in this country look like to you? What are the parameters? Give me what a great America would look like.
Basically, 2019/early 2020 before COVID, we were signing peace accords with Israel. There was no new conflicts. ISIS is gone. The economy was hot. That would be greatness right there.
Well, I mean,
peace and prosperity for everybody.
You see America, you see everybody was peaceful and there was tons of prosperity in 2019.
Yeah. I mean, Ukraine was just some bullshit that they were using to impeach Trump. It wasn't a war where people dying every day. Gaza, people starving. No one was starving. I was watching TikToks and stuff from Gaza. Guys, little kids rapping and doing their thing on TikTok.
Okay, now this might be a question you could help me out with. Justin in the comments says, name another day besides January 6th that was not the FBI. Can you decipher what is meant there? Name another day besides January 6th that wasn't FBI.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that even means.
But it's funny, like Denka was saying all this shit about all these protests are a setup, but January 6th wasn't. Isn't that what the right was saying about January 6th?
What do you mean?
That was a setup that the left used to shut down, the right's message. Because that's exactly what happened.
Something, in my opinion, based on what we've seen, what has it been, 4 years plus since January 6th happened? The biggest setup, in my opinion, is the reason they were there. They were there to stop the steal. I haven't seen any evidence 4 years out that anything was stolen from them. And I'll tell you this, considering that the election was only 2 months and 2 days prior to when they attended on January 6th, they didn't have any evidence 2 months and 2 days. I mean, Barr and all of them were still investigating the 2020 election. There is no reason they should even showed up. They didn't have any evidence that anything was stolen.
Listen, by January 6th, Barr already stopped investigating. He only investigated for like 2 weeks, and then he threatened to quit. And then when Trump tried to replace him, everybody under him threatened to quit. So who the hell is going to do the investigating? There was no, we didn't get 2 years of Mueller. Who was the Mueller for January for the election? For the election being stolen.
You raise a good point, and the problem is you got Trump as president, and his own administration is like, I don't want it. I mean, it ain't like a bunch of liberals or Nancy Pelosi threw Trump's investigation into the ground. His own people. I mean, his own vice president refused to not certify the election under the grounds it wasn't stolen. His own attorney general, like you're talking about, had this. I mean, these are your own people that are telling you lost.
Yeah, because they're all establishment. They'd rather just move on and keep things the way they are than, actually investigate if there was fraud. Because imagine if they actually looked into it and we find out like 6 months into the Biden presidency that it was stolen, or even a year, or even like on the last day of, even now we find out it was actually stolen.
You think every single Republican governor, because I don't think there's one governor that said Trump won that year. The Republican senators, I don't know any. You think all of them people are establishment and just wanted to move? Now there's not one person, even Marco Rubio, who's part of his cabinet now, has never said Trump has won. You think all of these people should be dismissed?
I'm not even saying that he won. I think it's 50-50.
No, he is saying he won.
Okay, that's him. He's always going to say that. He has to say that.
No, he don't.
That's his psyche.
Why does he have to say that?
Well, for one thing, he would, if he didn't genuinely believe that the election was stolen, he could go to jail because, they could use that. They were trying to prove in court that he didn't believe it was stolen, that he was just doing it to steal it himself. But, it was a close election. So I think it's 50-50.
How was it
Actually, I lean closer like 60 that he lost, 40% that he won.
How was it How was it a close election? How was it a close election when he's saying he won by a landslide? He's not saying it's close at all.
You keep talking about what he says. I never bring up what he says. I bring up what actually happened on the field.
So in other words, even you don't believe it.
Lost Georgia by 12,000, which you can look that up. I don't know. That's not being contested. 12,000 votes, he would have won Georgia. 10,000 votes, he would have won Arizona. This is like a 5-6 million vote election, and only 10,000 votes decided the winner. 20,000 votes, he would have won Wisconsin. Like 40 or 50,000, he would have won PA.
Yeah, but here, hold on. Here's the problem though, is that even the governors in those states that you're talking about, like Governor Kemp of Georgia, who's a Republican, even those folks actually took Trump's claims, did recounts for him and everything. The guy he talked about, family, 11,000 votes. Even those folks who were on his team came back and said, "Sir, you lost." I mean, like, hold on. What can we possibly tell this man that'll make him believe he actually lost? Or is he just going to say, no matter how many investigations you do, I want you to do another one. Keep doing more.
If they would have done one, if they would have done 1 year, they did 2 years for Russia. If they would have done 1 year for this,
a whole
it would have been
year?
6 months. They did 2 years for Russia. Like, what the fuck did they have on Russia? What did Russia matter? This matters. This is the integrity of our election.
If the guy is saying, here's what I don't get. If the guy is saying he's won by a landslide, why do you need to investigate it for a year? Why can't he show us what he has to make him say that?
Again, he's just being a cheerleader. I don't even care about what he says.
So in other words, he is lying. He's being a cheerleader. What are you saying? So in other words, he's just lying.
It's like in football and basketball, when a team loses because of a bad ref call, do they sit there and fucking, say they won and they just fucking move on because there's going to be another game?
You can't lose the game and then start saying the refs cheated. I mean, even in professional sports, that can get you in a lot of trouble. You can't start blaming the folks that are part of the refereeing staff and all that. And well, I would have won if it wasn't for the umpires. You can't. I mean, that's what Trump is saying. He's blaming all of the staff and everything.
Okay, and I think it's bad. I agree with you. It's bad. He needs to actually find some proof but he doesn't have the power to find proof. He doesn't have power to investigate. Really what you have to do is go into the votes and verify the votes. You go into the areas that had unusual voting patterns, which Fulton County did. That's why it's one of the ones in question. And you check the votes. You call the voters. Be like, did you vote in this election? And if they say yes, then you go to, you're good. But if you find a bunch of people saying that they didn't vote in the election, yet it shows that they voted, then you find out.
Yeah, but then what do you do about all of the Republicans that were pleading guilty to actually cheating for Trump? Do you ignore that? I mean, there's a lot of Republicans that got caught cheating too.
Well, no, nobody got. What do you mean? No, that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different subject.
Were they cheating? Were they cheating?
They took deals. They didn't really go to trial. There's a lot of innocent people that take deals, and you should know about this.
They took
I took a bunch of deals.
What did they take a deal for? What was the purpose of them getting the deal to begin with?
So they don't have to spend millions of dollars in court fees. The court fees alone are ridiculous.
What would they need to spend millions of dollars of court fees for? Why was there court cases coming up towards them?
What do you mean? Because the Biden people were trying to prosecute them.
These are
millions of dollars on lawyers alone.
These were state charges, MAGA reacts. This ain't Biden's people.
It's still required. It's a national case. It's still required. Ask any one of those people. They all spent a ton of money on lawyers.
Yeah.
So would you spend $1 million on lawyer or just take a plea deal? Because in the end,
So you're suggesting that they're all innocent, but to save money, they all decided to plead guilty.
I don't know all that, but that's
what are you saying?
Example of why they did it. I don't know them. I could ask them. You could go ask them yourself.
No. I mean, they pled guilty. They actually pled guilty. In our court system, if you plead guilty, you're convicted of that crime. That's how the system works.
I know, but a lot of people plead guilty just because it's easier than fighting it, especially if there's no jail time involved.
These are you're gonna lose your ability to practice law. These were lawyers. So you're going to lose a little bit more than money. You're going to lose your ability to practice law. You're going to go down in history with this on your record.
Also, what were they found guilty of? What are we even talking about here?
We're talking about the fake electors who were trying to change the certification of the election in various states for which they had no legal right to do so.
Okay, so if you want to go down the whole thing, this was a legal theory, a bad one, and they thought they could at least test it. But in the end, it's not like they did it in secret. Everybody knew. This was on the news December 15th.
You can't go present.
Who announces their crime ahead of time?
You cannot go present certification that you don't rightfully have as a way you should be allowed to get access to voting machines and polling places. You're showing certification that you didn't earn and it's false.
Again, I don't have everything in front of me, and it's been a while since I debated this.
Okay. That's what it is. Okay.
This is a thing that we have no rules for. This situation has rarely happened. The closest was Hawaii back in the day. So we don't have procedures for this because it's very rare and nobody thought of it ever happening. So we don't know,
Yeah, we never thought. You're right. You're right. Nobody ever thought this would happen. We never thought you'd have a president just yelling he won by a landslide with no proof or evidence. I mean, and still saying it 4 years later. What?
We never thought we were going to have to deal with COVID during an election and have to vote, but mostly vote by mail. We never thought we were going to have millions of people voting by mail instead of in person. You know, there was a lot of unusual things about that election.
I'm willing to entertain all of that. I'm willing to entertain the mail-in votes was a little different. I'm willing to entertain things that may have not looked right, or that we went to sleep and Trump was winning, we woke up and he was losing. I'm willing to entertain the questions in regards to all of that. What I'm not willing to entertain is him just hold on. What I am not willing to entertain is him just jumping up and saying I won by a landslide. That shouldn't be in there.
All right. I'm not even debating that. I agree with you. He shouldn't have done that. He should have. I mean, he had to, because if
no, he
how
didn't.
else is he going to get it investigated?
No, he could have been just as passionate about demanding an investigation as he was about lying and saying he won by a landslide. He didn't win by a landslide.
He won. Why have an investigation? If he thought he lost anyway, why have an investigation?
Why isn't he having the investigation now? He's spending a ton of money on a parade. Why not use that money to investigate it?
Hopefully he is. I really hope to God he is.
Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that right now he's investigating the 2020 election at all? Do you really believe that? And not telling you?
I don't know. All I know is it's unpopular as far as politics, and that's why a lot of people, even if they think even if they think he won, they keep it to themselves, because
MAGA, it is not unpopular. If Trump announced to MAGA at any rally that he's decided to open up an election on the 2020 election, they would jump into applause. It is not unpopular. I mean,
well, tell that to Kerry Lake, who keeps losing, and all the other losers that supported it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with what Dennis Calhoun in the comments said. Why is he not showing evidence now? Why is he not? I mean, you don't made all of these claims of how you won by a landslide and how they're closing polling places, or what Giuliani said they're passing around. Why hasn't he proved any of this shit? He made a ton of different claims on how the Democrats cheated. You can't prove one of these?
Yeah, he's just throwing spaghetti at the wall, but you know, it's
so in other words, he is lying.
On the DOJ to look into it. You know, you keep saying, why isn't Trump doing it? Trump is just a politician. It has to be done by the FBI, by an independent investigator. What is the
difference between throwing spaghetti at the wall and lying?
I don't know. Nothing. Neither matters. What's important is the DOJ investigating.
You don't think just making up? Wait. You said it doesn't matter. You don't think just making up lies about the election, just throwing spaghetti at the wall. So a lot of things you said that's on the wall are just lies. You don't think making up lies about the election, you don't think anything's wrong with that?
Have I ever gone on here and said that we should investigate the election?
That ain't what I'm asking you. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, what is the difference between...
You keep having me debate points that I never made.
I'm asking you right now.
We had to do it because Trump said so.
I said
we had to do it because it was a close race.
No, I'm asking you right now.
Unusual.
You said points you never made. You just said he's throwing spaghetti at the wall. I'm asking you right now, what is the difference between throwing spaghetti at the wall and just making up lies?
Nothing. You're guessing. It's not a lie. It's a guess. He's guessing what could have happened. When you're lying, is like you know what happened and you're lying about it. When you throw spaghetti at the wall, you're just guessing. You could have done this. You could have done that. You know. I mean, come on. You push me into this, and you're like, how you sound crazy for saying it, but you're pushing me into saying this shit.
But the fact is, you're saying I'm pushing you into saying this shit, but the fact is, you are actually saying this shit. Now, you said he's not lying.
You're asking me to talk about another person's thoughts.
I'm asking you to call out a lie when you hear one.
Just guessing.
I'm asking you to call out a lie when you actually hear one. Now, you said he's not lying. He's just guessing, so to speak.
I don't know if it's a lie or not. Well, I mean, some of it is it's lies. Yeah, I'll give you that. But I don't even know if I could call it that, though. It's just him guessing.
Okay, well, let's go with...
He doesn't have a time machine.
Let's go with guessing, as you said. He's not lying, he's guessing. You're wondering why they didn't give him a proper investigation that lasted for a year. You really want them to spend a year investigating guesses?
No, I want them to actually investigate the actual facts on the ground. You have an election where Biden did better than Obama in Fulton County. where there's 20 million extra voters that showed out of nowhere that didn't vote in 2016 and haven't voted here in 2024, that just voted in this one election.
And what do you do? What do you do about all the guesses? What do you do with all the guesses and the spaghetti on the wall? What do you do with that stuff? Because he's on TV and at rallies saying that
cross
stuff.
them out one at a time.
So you actually do have to pursue those guesses.
I mean, that's how most investigations start. The detective guesses how it could have happened, and he investigates his guesses until he finds,
And so let me ask you this. While we're chasing down his guesses and the spaghetti on the wall, is Mike Pence supposed to hold up the election while we're looking into all this stuff?
No. Biden gets elected president because he still won at that point. He still won because the states elected him. Because the votes on the ground doesn't pick the president. The states pick the president. So in that way, Biden definitely won because the electoral college picked him.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know how we end up talking about fucking this shit every time.
Because we wouldn't talk about this shit so much if you weren't trying to defend the indefensible. I gotta move it on, man.
I mean, it's unknown. It's unknown because I don't have a time machine. I don't have if I had the power, I would have gone to Fulton County, pulled out everybody's votes, called every one of those fucking voters, be like, hey, did you vote? Yes or no? And if I would have found 12,000 people that didn't vote, that are showing that they voted, then right there's the fraud that would have overturned the election.
I'm with you on some of that, but I'm with you on some of that. But I'm with you on some of that. But I'm going to tell you, the minute you start going around publicly making statements that you even admit are just guesses and spaghetti on the wall, you lose all credibility. You're going to host court cases. You're going to judges and demanding that they look into the election. And you and I both realize some of that stuff you're going to court with are just guesses. Nobody
it's also impossible to do. Your votes are sacred. I can't go in there and open up votes.
No, what I'm saying is you're not going to go to a judge and demand that they give you some kind of credibility when you're admitting, well, I'm just kind of guessing on this. This is a guess, but I want you to give me an actual case on this. You got to go with evidence. You can't go with spaghetti on the wall and guesses and then blame the judge for not looking into that.
Look, you spend 2 weeks on any case, you're not going to find enough evidence to, if it was a murder case or any kind of other case, and you only spend 2 weeks on it, you're never going to even find a single clue. It takes time to investigate things, and you can't tell me the biggest election ever only took 2 weeks to
but even when you're talking about, even when you're talking about some kind of criminal case, they're not going to go on guesses. If they go interview somebody and the person admits I'm just guessing, they're not going to take that serious. I mean, it's not based on anything. It's just I'm just guessing
that way. But a lot of what they do is guess, and then they eliminate their guess. They're intelligent guesses based on experience, but this hasn't happened before. So how could we, It's like when they guess it's the wife. Every time a guy gets murdered, the first guess is a girlfriend or a wife or a mistress. And then they look into it. You think they wait for evidence that's the wife before looking into it?
No, when you
they guess it's the wife.
No.
Or somebody he knows.
That's that's what's referred to as an educated guess. It's usually somebody close to the victim. What Trump is doing is not educated guesses. He's just throwing shit out there. It's not based on any kind of actual science of other cases that have happened in the past. He's just throwing out stuff to delay the election so that Biden don't get in there. That's all that was.
If we had as many close elections as we have murders, we would have more educated guesses. Sorry, 1 second.
Answer your phone. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, I'm moving on. All right, moving on with the program. Did I miss Angry Gangsta Grandma? Gangsta Grandma has not been on the program yet. But I'm going to ask you guys to tap the screen and get the likes on up to 45,000. We went into the 2020 election, but that's not what the program is about. The program is about the simple question of, are we great yet? That's the whole goal, is to make America great again. What does America in greatness look like to you? I want to hear the parameters. I want you to specify what is greatness to you. And now that we've had Trump for only about 5 months, he hasn't been in very long, so you can only expect so much. But are we great yet? Are we on the path to greatness? Do you feel more confident with Trump as the commander in chief than another 4 years of Biden, or had Kamala Harris taking the reins? Do you feel like we made the right decision and we are indeed on the path to greatness? That's what we're talking about today. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 45,000. You know how the program is ran. We are indeed MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. You can be critical of anyone on the program, including yours truly. We go left of Bernie Sanders, Trump having dinner with Q. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host trying to limit your time or dictate how you should think, you're in the right place. I'm going to ask that you give your boy a subscription or a follow if you're watching on Instagram or TikTok. But we're here generally on the weekdays, and that's how we run the program. It is uncensored free speech. I live in the UK, so it's allied news to me. You got to explain a little bit more than that, Booch. I don't get what you mean by allied news. Yes, we have been great. In was born poor. I guess you said I was born poor with a single mom on welfare. I retired at 36 in 2018. Wow, 36? I retired at 36 in 2018. I bought my mom a house in a gated community and a Mercedes and a Yukon. We are great. That ain't got shit to do with what's going on in the White House. I can tell you that. I don't know your case, but if you went from a welfare mom to retiring at 36 and buying your mom all kinds of material possessions, that ain't got shit to do with Trump or Biden. But thanks for the input. Trump can't even kick people out well. Really? What do you mean by he can't? He can't kick people out well. What, Tim? For goodness sake, why don't you know USA is an ally of the UK? I do know that, but we don't normally refer to it as ally news. I mean, maybe that's lost in translation. In other words, it's news coming from a state you have an alliance with. Is that what you're trying to say? She divorced somebody rich. Yeah, that might be closer to the way it works. Anyway, going back to the box. I want to make sure I didn't miss any comments here. The question is about the country, not individually. Yeah, the defense of Trump, and I saw a lot of folks in the comments that were also agreeing with my last caller. The 2020 election, unless the Trump administration produces some solid evidence, that's going to go down in history that Trump tried to steal that election, or at the very least lied about it. Even my last guest who voted for Trump, his name is MAGA Reacts, admits Trump threw spaghetti on the wall. Wasn't that the phrase he used? He just threw spaghetti against the wall. He just threw out guesses. I mean, you got MAGA even saying that. I think even most Trump supporters acknowledge, even if they believe that Trump beat Biden in 2020, even they acknowledge some of the stuff Trump said during that election ain't true. I mean, I think even most people who adamantly support Trump are willing to admit during the 2020 election, he said some stuff that's not true. I think the difference is, though, MAGA favors the direction that Trump has taken his country in so strongly that they're willing to put up with lies. I mean, at the end of the day, he's better than Biden. He's better than Kamala. He's better than the liberals. We don't have to deal with all that shit. We'll just let him lie. Because at the end of the day, he's doing a better job. But I don't think it's even up for debate. I think even most MAGA will acknowledge Trump tells a lot of lies. They just kind of refer to it as exaggerations, or they give it other names, which is why I asked my last caller, what's the difference between throwing spaghetti up against the wall and just telling a lie? Just come out and admit this guy is telling you lies. You don't want to use the term lie because it's a harsh word to use, so you're picking up these synonyms. Exaggerates, overspeaks, spaghetti against the wall. It's a lie. That's all it is. He's telling lies when he does that. For the record, this country that I live in was not ready for a woman president, and they also is not ready for a black American. They're not ready for black American reparations. Now, I don't think we're ever going to be ready for reparations in our lifetime. I think even if you had a Democrat president in there that had as much power as Trump, and they gave or authorized to give descendants of slaves, black Americans, reparations, I think you would have a whole lot of whites revolting. I think you would have a lot of whites that would be that pissed off about it. That would start. I mean, you see what happened with the mask mandates, how they took over the governor's building in Michigan with Gretchen Whitmer. Obviously, the January 6th is another case. I mean, everybody can riot. Don't ever let people believe that only Black Lives Matter can riot. We don't do that. No, anybody can riot if you piss them off enough. Racist black man here. Let me go back to the box. Continuing on, somebody said racist black men. They all do, don't they? All the politically aligned and unstable never pick a side, because then you'll be confused. I don't know about that one. Continuing on with Fro. Good evening, Fro. Welcome to the program. Are we great yet? That's what we're asking. I love that he's a great follower of Matlock. Matlock, wow, you going back there. What was that? What was the guy's name? Not Andy Gibb. What was the character? What is the actor's name? The late actor that played Matlock, and he also played Andy Gibb too. Fro, good evening. Fro, are you there?
It was a mistake. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, not a problem. All right, we'll move it on. He made a mistake and requested up. We'll go to the next caller immediately. If I can make sure I hit the right button. I'm fat fingering every damn thing here. And thank you folks that are tapping the screen. Stick, the ruler. Good evening, Stick. I love that he. what am I hitting here? There you go, Stick. Andy Griffin, yeah. Good evening. It was called the Andy Griffin Show. Okay, yes, it was Andy Griffin. Yeah. Okay, Stick, good evening.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. Are we great yet?
Nah, this country, in the sense of all the way around great, has never been great. We have done great accomplishments, but majority of the time it was off the backs of people that they really didn't even want here.
So what would if we were able to reach the pinnacle of greatness? What would that look like? What would give me the parameters of America being great? What would that look like?
It would be one American staying out of business of another American's business, and both of the Americans getting along.
How can you have an America where we stay out of the business of other Americans? I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about it from what, like an LGBT standpoint, let people love who they want to love?
Yeah, basically anything that's common sense. Because my common sense may be different than somebody else's common sense.
Yeah.
But my common sense is I'm a heterosexual male. Why are my thoughts on the LGBT community?
Well, they believe it's harmful to children. They believe that if you expose children to the antics of the LGBTQ community, it could harm children and make some children want to be curious about joining that community.
I'm going to be honest with you, sir.
Yeah.
What's my boy? Indiana Jones been carrying a purse. They called it a satchel.
Yeah, well,
it didn't make any man want to go out there and buy a purse at all. My boy in The Hangover, he said it's a man purse.
Yeah.
You know, Fat Jesus. So, with that being said, like we've always had symbolism of something. I don't care. Something always came from something. But if you just see it and then you move on with your life, it is what it is. Like, it's not affecting you.
What about the whole notion that, you know, you got books in schools that talk about the LGBTQ community? I mean, they had folks finding books in some schools where they were removing books that actually even talked about things like anal sex.
Well, my whole thing of it is, again, Tim, how did you find that book? If you are the person that is against that book, how did you know or how did you find that book? Now, if your child came to you and said, hey, Mom, look at this book and look what it says, that's different. But you just automatically finding this book, sounds like to me you've been on that side already. You just in the closet and you upset that you can't exercise your rights. That's what it sounds like.
No, I don't think that's. I don't think that's what it was. In my, from what I heard, you had folks. I think down in Florida, for instance, they allowed people to demand books be removed from schools, even if the person making the demand had no children in that school at all. So what ended up happening is you had people who took upon themselves to literally just go through entire libraries of books, find out what it's about, and then put in an argument that this book should be banned. And DeSantis was just taking them out. They weren't even questioning it. So you had a lot of folks.
So you just basically single-handedly gave my answer that they're biased.
Yeah.
That the overwhelmingly Republican Florida Congress or whatever House or whatever they want to be called, the senators, these guys are just on some. This is what we want.
Yeah.
We don't care. Because look, me personally, I'm 46. I'm a veteran. I have ailments. Marijuana now is medically legal. But instead of making it medicinal, I mean not medicinal, but instead of making it recreational,
yeah.
On a 51% vote, we had to get 60%.
They made the hurdle. Like they lifted the hurdle.
59, 58. You see what I'm saying? So they already knew that majority of the people, especially the ones that don't smoke or don't have ailments and are dudley fucking do-rights, are gonna say no.
Why do you think? Why do you think the right?
I guarantee if we put up the cocaine, everybody vote yes.
What?
Yeah, this is Florida. Miami is in Florida.
Yeah. Why do you think the right would do something like that, make it harder to legalize marijuana? Because obviously Florida's a right-wing state. Why do you think they want to keep marijuana illegal?
They want to keep it illegal recreationally, right? Because it's easier to arrest somebody or give them a ticket and make money off of it. If you got a person that smokes but they're not dealing, we're gonna give them a ticket. But if we got a person that's dealing, even though it's legally municipal, the municipal use, we're still gonna take you to jail. We're still gonna get that court money. We're still gonna get that fine money. We're still gonna get that. You spent a couple of nights in jail money. The county's gonna get paid for that. It's all about money. I can't get my money off of it because right now it's not recreational. You can't
but Stick, if you make marijuana illegal, you can tax the shit out of it. You can still get money. You don't need to be locking up your citizens and removing productivity from your workforce and stuff. When you can just simply legalize it and tax the shit out of it and make your money there.
And that's with everything, Tim. But everything ain't the way that we want it to be. I mean, weed is a herb. It's not really a drug. It's a herb. It comes from the herb. Untampered, it's a simple herb, and it has good ways of things that will help you with your ailments. But again, it's all about money. If somebody's getting theirs tax-free, selling it tax-free, then they mad about it. They want their money. Hey, you ain't giving it to me, so I'm gonna get it this way. I'm gonna arrest your ass and I'm gonna charge you with it. I'm gonna give you a ticket. I'm gonna do whatever it is I got to do to make sure the state, the county, the city gets its money. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's what they own.
And I see in the comments, King Finn says there is a cruelty factor because the prison complex would slow down. So in other words, based on what you're talking about, it actually makes money for the prison industrial complex as well.
Yeah, like I said, the state, the city, and then in some cases, you got those big, farms or whatever that people might have a couple of peas coming through there. You know what I mean? And if they find the batch, they burn it, and if they find the batch and the people, they take them to jail. So now again, they're in the system, and the system is getting paid off those bodies.
Wow.
And that's how that goes.
I mean, there is
But
a lot of money. I mean, there's no denying there's a lot of money in incarceration. I mean, there are plenty of. It's something I've talked about in the program in previous shows. I don't believe anybody should profit off of incarceration. It should literally be to remove harmful people from society and give victims justice. Nobody should be profiting from it. But in America, there are a lot of people that profit from incarceration, and that because the reason I'm against that is because it's only going to increase the likelihood of people being incarcerated that shouldn't, because people are going to do what they got to do to make that money. And if I can make
listen,
money
Tim.
through incarceration, I want as many people incarcerated as possible.
Listen, Tim. This is what they do, Tim. You go to jail, right? Let's say you go to jail at one in the morning, right? So that counts as that day, because it's 1 in the morning. It's after 12. You get bonded out at around about 12 noon. Ask me what time you're getting out.
If you get bonded at 12 noon, I would assume it's going to be within an hour or so, ain't it?
You're going to get bonded out at 12:01 midnight because they want to get paid for that next day.
So they just intentionally hold you for another 11 hours and 59 minutes.
So, again, it's a body that's in jail that's being counted 12:01 after count, whatever the case may be. You can get free because they already got paid for the day. You was there a minute, so they got paid for the day.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's incarceration for profit. This person is only sitting here so that you can, as you say, get credit for the person being here, and it helps you out financially somehow. That's incarceration for profit. Wow. I don't know what the solution is for that, because I talk about on the program all the time how we are capitalists in this country, and the sole aim of capitalists is to make money. We'll overlook anything if you can put money in our pockets, and that's Democrats and Republicans alike. Which is why I said the next liberal needs to focus on telling the American public, if you vote for me, I'll put money in your pocket, because that's all people hear. They don't care about nothing else.
And again, Tim, that's only if you got a lawyer, right? A lawyer will get you out faster. A lawyer will get you out probably in, 3 hours, 4 hours. But if you ain't got a lawyer, you just going through a bondsman and you got a court date and all of that stuff, oh yeah, they gonna get their money. But I really wanted to get on the National Guard now being called out in Texas. And I believe DeSantis is going to fall in line, and he's probably going to call out for down here because that map looked real bad in the sense of how many protesters there are going to be in Florida. So with that being said, man, I mean, it's sad because it's so obvious. He's already told you he's going to be a dictator. He's already told you he's going to try to lock up his opponents in the sense of his opposition.
Well, he didn't tell you that. He did not tell you this. He told Sean Hannity that if he got elected, he would be too busy to be a president about retribution. So he lied about it. He didn't tell you that.
We ain't going to do that when we already know it was called the Retribution Tour. We're not going to do that, Tim.
No. What I'm saying is that I'm going to admit and agree with you that Trump is certainly a vengeful president. I think even MAGA admits that Trump will take revenge on you. But what I'm saying is he lied when he was campaigning on the Sean Hannity interview and said, I'm not going to have time to be about retribution. He made it sound like if he's elected, he's not going to be taking revenge out on people. Sean Hannity asked him point blank, and he said no.
And he also said he'll have the war over in 24 hours. So we already know what's up.
Yeah.
Like we're not gonna go by what was said. We're gonna go by his actions. Now, me saying what he said is what he's doing. So again, I don't have to talk about what he said. Look at what's going on. Look at the actions. Man, they got on ABC News a migrant getting chased through a strawberry field in California.
I saw that.
And then the other day there was an Australian camera woman. The cop was looking out.
I saw that too. He tried to shoot her.
Yeah, that's my point. So it's all in our face on camera. Is that justice? She had her back to him.
I don't know why he would do that, but it was pretty clear. I mean, because even the Prime Minister of Australia actually spoke on that. He actually contacted the U.S. government about that woman getting shot. I mean, it was. I mean, you can clearly see him lift up the gun and aim and shoot her. I mean, he clearly tried to do that.
Yeah, he did it on purpose. He aimed at her because the camera was looking, at her, but you could see him to the side, and he was just looking around at first. Then he just cocked his gun, popped her, and kept moving. She was
Well, the good thing is because a lot of these folks are federal officers and people part of the federal government. They kind of know Trump got their back. You're going to do something really egregious for Trump to let you go down. If you are in the process of defending one of these cities or you're dealing with Hispanics or protesters, you kind of got free reign to do whatever you want to do. If you bop a protester over the head and somehow that protester loses their lives, Trump ain't gonna let you go down for murder. He gonna pardon you. I mean,
guess what? This is what I would say. I would say to these officers, it sounds good, but what's gonna happen is the prosecutor, the actual prosecutor that does his job, is gonna make sure. Oh,
I don't know why that's
I don't know
happening.
what's going on.
Yeah, I see
hold
it.
on. Let me turn on my camera real quick because that might be it.
I saw it as well. Go ahead.
The prosecutor may come out and say, you know what, we're gonna make these state charges. We're not gonna make them federal hate crimes.
Yeah, but then the prosecutor is gonna be dealing with Trump, with threats coming from Trump, and Trump's gonna try to go to court.
It is what it is. Because again, a true prosecutor, it is what it is.
It ain't a lot of
them. Again, hopefully they will stand up. Hopefully, just as way as everybody's getting out there and protesting, whether you're black, white, Venezuelan, whatever. It's kind of too late because you, especially on the Latino side, y'all guys failed us. 20% of the black population failed us. With the black males, should I say? The women voted. What it was? It 92%.
Well, black women, but Trump won the women's vote.
No, the black women's vote.
Oh, he only got like 7%. I think 91% of the women.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So on the black women's side, they voted 92%.
Yeah.
The black male side voted 80%. So those 7%, those 20%, y'all stay y'all ass in the house. Y'all go over there with Trump, call him up, lick his boots. Don't need y'all out there starting shit because y'all the ones that start shit. Not the ones that's out there for justice and the right stuff.
Well, I told y'all in the comments said I'm a black man for Trump right here. So I mean, I'll just say this.
Stay your ass at home. Yeah, stay your ass at home.
I'll just say this. I have not heard of many disgruntled black MAGA. Most black MAGA that supported Trump, they're still happy with his performance right now.
Yeah. I mean, they can be happy with him and his might be pardoning Diddy and all this stuff. I mean, he's showing you who he is. He's showing you he likes those people. Those people. And I'm saying it like that. Those people like Diddy. Those people like Epstein. He's showing you. Nick Fuentes. He's showing you he likes those people.
Well,
Kanye West. Yeah. See, Kanye, him too. He needs to stay his bitch ass home. Yeah. All of them need to stay their bitch ass home. The one that made the comment about he's a black Trump supporter, you stay your bitch ass home. You the reason why all this shit going on right now.
But stick right now. There's one term for black MAGA. They're winners right now. If you supported Trump, you are on the winning team, right? At least for right now. I gotta move it on, no stick. But that is the way it's going for right now. So appreciate you coming in, man.
So one last thing, Tim.
Yeah.
What we gotta all understand is this is what he wanted. He wanted chaos. He wanted calamity. He wanted everybody not trusting nobody because right now at this point we do not know how to trust anybody because, like I said, 20% of the black male vote went to him, and 7% of the female vote went to him. Black female vote went to him. So we're at the point where we got those Sambos and whatever you want to call the women that voted for him. They out there.
You can trust somebody. They trust Trump. Put your faith in the Lord. Your ass belongs to MAGA. I gotta move it on, stick. All right, you too. That's an old Shawshank Redemption quote. Looking in the comments, you can't even spell common sense, says Rich Madrid. God bless Diddy is evil karma at work. You know something? I do believe what my last caller was suggesting, that there is a possibility that Trump will pardon Diddy. I mean, look, Trump likes to do things just to piss people off, just to get those good old fashioned liberal tears. It would not surprise me if just to piss people off, just because I can. I mean, I have unlimited power. I've got immunity from anything I do. Just for the sake of doing it. It would not surprise me if Trump pardoned Diddy because it's going to also lead to somebody with a lot of power owing him a huge favor. I mean, Diddy is going to. I mean, whatever Trump needs from Diddy, if he gets out, Diddy gonna do it. I need you to go at rallies. I need you, whatever it is. I need you to supply music, DJs, whatever it is. Maybe you got maybe some of your other supporters. I mean, Trump has a huge, wider range, tens of millions of supporters. Maybe I have people out there that have aspiring musicians in their family and they're willing to, pony up a few $1,000,000 to get Diddy to produce some shit for him. I mean, Diddy still has a lot of connections and shit like that. A lot of connections and shit like that. I mean, if he gets out because of Trump, he's going to owe Trump favors. Looking in the comments, where have you guys been the past, let's say, 10 years? Trump is not pardoning Diddy. Did he spend a lot of money against Trump for Clinton? I don't listen. No reply. You could be right. I'm not 100% sure Trump will pardon Diddy, but I'm absolutely not 100% sure he won't. Let me ask you folks, for you folks tuning in, 100% chance that he. What do you think? If you had to go on if you're looking up from 0 to 100%, what are the chances Trump will pardon Diddy? From 0 to 100%. Because I got somebody here is saying that there's no chance he's going to do it. Is there anybody who believes there's a 0% chance that he'll pardon Diddy? I think everybody's got a number somewhere in there. In other words, there's a possibility. Might be 10%, might be 50%. Somebody said 38, somebody said 75. D Blue said 100%. Wow. I mean, seriously, is there anybody that believes there's a 0% chance? I just don't believe that. Because they asked Trump, and he didn't say it was a 0% chance. He himself did not even say it was a 0% chance. He didn't say no shit like, I don't want to get involved in that, or it looks really bad, or I'm going to leave it up to the state. No, he said, in other words, I'm going to look into it. So he didn't even say it was 0. Pimpin' says Craig. What would have to gain to pardon him? It ain't necessarily got anything to do with gaining anything. It's just being able to show the world I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. What did Trump really gain by pardoning the January 6th participants? He was already president. He didn't gain nothing by pardoning them. He didn't. MAGA was down for Trump whether he let those folks sit in prison or not. He didn't gain anything by pardoning those January 6th participants. But he did it anyway. Same thing with the reality TV show. The couple that was from a reality TV show, and he didn't gain anything by doing it. He's just doing it to show I have the power, as He-Man once said. I do it because I can show I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. What did he gain by pardoning Larry Hoover? That's a great question. Yeah, he didn't gain nothing by pardoning Larry Hoover, so he ain't doing it necessarily. He's just doing it because he want to do it. Bankhead. I don't generally block, ban, or censor anybody, but if you're spamming the program, Bankhead, you're going to make me do what I got to do. I don't want to block, ban, or censor anybody, but typing the same thing over and over again will make that happen. He didn't do shit by pardoning Hoover. No, he didn't. He absolutely did not. That was part of his promise for becoming president, to pardon the January 6ers. No, he said he was going to look into it. He made it sound like some of those folks were put in a situation that they didn't deserve to be, but he made it sound like he was going to look into it on a case-by-case basis. He never made it sound like he was going to pardon every one of them just for the sake of doing it. So we'll continue on with Sherbert. By pardoning January 6th, he got ICE troops. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that is true. That's apparently some of the folks that he pardoned from January 6th became associates with ICE. Do they have any minorities? I'm assuming they have Hispanics working with ICE. I ain't seen no black people in those videos. It looked like ICE is mostly white dudes. User, good evening.
How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good, Jeremy. So what do you think? How do you feel about him pardoning the January 6 folks, and now some of them folks are working for ICE?
Yeah, I don't feel bad about it at all. I think that there's some people who deserve to be pardoned and some people who didn't. But I don't feel bad that some of them are nice. That's fine by me. Yeah. And I really hope that some of these protesters get shot.
What?
I'm dead serious.
Why?
The ones that are rioting.
You want the protesters? I mean, you're talking actual rounds. You're not talking metal. You're not talking rubber bullets. You want some of the protesters to actually.
It can start with rubber bullets, but if it gets if an officer gets injured, shit happens, man. Sorry. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
So you endorse Ashley Babbitt being shot, then, right?
I don't remember enough about Ashley Babbitt to really comment on her, but I'm pretty sure there was some fuckery there.
What do you mean by fuckery?
I can't really say 100% right now. I don't remember enough about what happened with Ashley Babbitt, but I do know that there were some people on January 6th. See, the thing, January 6th was one of those events where a lot of the people who were breaking laws did it spontaneously. It wasn't premeditated. Even all the lawyers who wanted to get them on premeditated charges were dropping it. A lot of the judges were calling them out saying, you need to shut the fuck up or we're going to put a gag order on your asses, as we're saying stuff like that to the media.
You just stated that if any of these folks that are protesting injure cops, you're okay with rubber bullets up to and including lead.
And I just said I don't remember enough about Ashley Babbitt.
Okay, what about some of the other protesters that were bear spraying and beating cops on January 6th? You haven't seen any footage of anybody attacking cops on January 6th? Not one person?
No, I didn't say that. What I said was it wasn't planned. It was spontaneous.
What the hell does that got to do with it?
And there was some, because a lot of people wanted to make it out to be like, oh, they had planned to overthrow the election. That wasn't how it went down. It was more like a spontaneous riot in some areas. And there were some people who were there who were literally just reporting on the event and who didn't deserve to go into prison, who deserved to be pardoned.
Okay, let me make sure I get clarity. So if you went to January 6th, whether it was spontaneous, whether it was planned or not, and during the time you were there, you beat a cop, did you deserve to be shot? Probably. Well, you seem to be weakening on your stance.
No, I'm serious. You probably did. Now, here's the thing. If you're already in cuffs, well, then at that point, you're already in cuffs. But hey, if you play stupid games, win stupid prizes, don't fight cops.
Yeah. I mean, so why do you think that there is such a different distinction in regards to how MAGA feels about the people on January 6th compared to what they're talking about with Southern California? Because Trump is referring to what's going on in California as, rioting, and he referred to January 6th as a love fest. Why is there such a different distinction?
Dude, I can't speak for what other people do. Some people are stupid.
We're talking about Trump.
Yeah, I know, Trump. As in sometimes he says stupid shit that I wish he wouldn't say. Okay? But here's the thing. That's the thing. I wish he wouldn't have given a blanket pardon to the January 6ers. I just wish that he would have been a little more selective. But there were absolutely people who deserved to be pardoned in there who didn't do shit. Or they did something that isn't really worth actually prosecuting for. Maybe they went into the rotunda and just took pictures of what other people were doing and weren't actually participating. They weren't breaking into rooms. They were just reporting on it.
Were there people?
And there's some people.
So you believe there were some innocent folks, but you do believe, sounds like, that there were some of those J6 protesters deserve to be shot as well.
Yeah, some of them were being stupid and they could win stupid prizes.
Okay.
Again, if someone surrenders after you pepper spray them, fine, they're surrendering. Or if they're already in cuffs, you can't go into a squad car and go bang at someone who you got locked up in your squad car. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I want you to look at the monitor behind me. This is, if my computer plays right, this is a cop there with a helmet and some kind of face shield on. This is January 6th. That cop is in the middle of that.
Another video shows the terrified officer finally pulled from the crowd, injured and barely able to hold up his head. The chief says the rioters injured a total of 56 D.C. police officers. Social media detectives have grabbed images from the videos and are doing their best to identify the perpetrators.
You think they should be shot? That's right there is a rioter that's holding the police's baton and beating them with it. You think he should be shot?
Yeah, probably. Like how is he going to get their people back? You know what I mean? Now, again, you could use non-lethal force. You could use lethal force. There's something called the taser shockwave. Have you ever seen one of those?
No.
Oh,
you talking about the prongs? You talking about where the prongs go out and pierce the skin?
Yeah, except it's not one taser. It's like a whole bunch of them all in a big line that's meant for crowd control. Like if some of these guys got snipes because they're trying to like get their guy back, I wouldn't feel bad because it's like you're literally holding a cop down. You're literally you're literally acting like animals.
Let me ask it to you this way. Do you think this individual that's holding the police's billy club and beating it with him, do you think he should be pardoned?
No, but again, why are you asking me something that you should probably know the answer to?
I'm asking you because you took such a strong stance on what's going on in Southern California, and when I started asking you about January 6th as a comparison, you started weakening your stance.
I didn't weaken shit, man.
Okay, well, you started when it came to Ashley Babbitt. Well, I don't really know the story, and I mean, I asked you about the love fest.
Well, no. I don't. So I don't want to comment. Why do you want me to comment on something that I haven't done enough research on?
It's been 4 years. You actually voted for this man. You didn't do any research. You voted for Trump, and you did no research on what is probably one of the most.
There's a lot more issues than just Ashley Babbitt.
But this, no, not Ashley Babbitt. This is one of the most historic riots in U.S. history. You voted for the guy that caused that.
Wait. Are we going to pretend that the Summer of Love didn't happen? That Chaz didn't happen?
I'm going to say no. Chaz in the Summer of Love happened, but I'm going to say what I just said. This is likely one of the most historic riots in U.S. history. You voted for the guy that caused that. The people who caused Chaz the people that caused BLM and Chaz, they're not running for office. The guy who caused this ran for president.
Wait, the guy who caused it. Wait, let's remember what Trump actually said. He said to do it peacefully, to protest peacefully.
What are you protesting?
He believed wrongly, although it was hella suspicious, that he lost the election.
I get your point, but that's the point I'm making. He caused this by having folks come to protest something that he believed that didn't happen. He caused this.
Wait. So hold on. So can we say that Gavin Newsom caused the riots in LA?
What did Gavin Newsom invite them to LA and tell them something that made them that's pissing them off? Why are they protesting in LA?
He's been lying to people, making the place a sanctuary city. He's been making a sanctuary state. He's been telling people that Trump is the Antichrist and that these illegal immigrants didn't do nothing.
Well, if you're going to go with him calling Trump the Antichrist, then you would say every liberal you realize how many liberals are calling Trump the Antichrist?
My point, Tim, my point here is that if you just say even if you just say that all it takes is that someone says you should protest something that you find to be illegitimate, if that's all it takes to say that someone caused a riot, and nothing else. I don't easily expand that to all sorts of things that you don't want to expand it to.
I don't know. Listen, if at the end of the day, if I say in Chicago, let's say for instance, I'm somebody who is well known, I'm a celebrity, I'm Jesse Smollett or somebody like that, and I say the police in this city are working for Trump and they're mistreating black people, come meet me on Saturday and we're all going to protest. Yeah, I'm responsible for that. If it ain't happening, I'm responsible for that. He's told people to come. He told people to come to DC.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You have the right to protest in the United States. What are you talking about? As long as it's a peaceful protest, that's all that really matters. And if you say, "Hey, be peaceful about it," which Trump did do, he specifically talked about.
Officer Fanone was among us.
Well, when you say he said, "Come and protest peacefully," to make your statement work, we have to ignore all of the leading acts that were before him. He wasn't the only person that spoke there that day. His son spoke, Giuliani spoke, Steve Bannon spoke, and all of them were saying everything that was about violence. take this country back. We got to fight back, combat. They weren't saying that. So you can't just get up there and pretend like Trump is the only person. He had all these opening acts. People are in the audience talking about hanging the president or hanging the vice president. You can't ignore all of that and just go peacefully and protest. All of this other violent rhetoric was part of that same day.
Wait, all this other violent rhetoric. We can see people like Maxine Waters saying this stuff, okay? We've even seen people who should be in prison, like Kathy Griffin, literally holding up a severed Trump head. What are you talking about?
If Maxine Waters hosts a protest and she says some of the stuff like, let's go and fight, and what did she say? Get up in people's faces. She said something like that one time. Yeah, she's at fault for it. I'm not going to pretend like if Trump is at fault for what happened there that day. You can throw liberals at me all you want. Some of them are going to be at fault too. But Trump is at fault for what happened there that day. He's the only reason they're there is because he told them something that angered people that's not true. And then he sent those angry people to the Capitol building where they tried to take that anger out on the people they were angry with. Without him, none of that happens.
Look, Tim, so we could go back and forth about this all day, about language this, language that. What I'm saying
language, it ain't language, it's direction. He actually told them to go to the Capitol building.
Yes, and protest, which they have the legal right to do. You can do that. In the United States, you have the legal right to protest. That's a thing. It's good. It's part of the First Amendment.
I think the problem is telling somebody to do something versus what is predictably likely to happen is where you and I have. You're sitting an angry mob of people, and there's no security. And you think, well, I'm going to tell them to go peacefully. And they're going to ignore all of their anger. They're going to ignore no securities. Just by me telling them to go peacefully, they're just going to listen to me and ignore all of that. That's what we're trying to believe here.
Wait. Why would they listen to you about going, but then not listen to you about being peaceful? Like that doesn't make sense. That's like saying hey, listen, okay, I may be your dad, and I told you to go to school today, but you don't have to listen to me about showing up with all your homework and all that. It's like, no, it's like if you have influence over people, you have influence over people. Yeah? If he had made like a 4-hour speech. And he said, by the way, it should be peaceful, like at the very tail end or something like that. Maybe then I'd be able to like be on your side or something like that. But he was very clear, in his speech that he gave, go peacefully and protest. He was very clear about that.
Well, the problem is this, Jeremy. When you tell them to go peacefully to the Capitol building and I'll be with you, what do you think's going to happen when you don't show up? They're just going to stand there and stare at each other and walk away? You told them you were going to be coming with them. I mean, eventually, if they're going peacefully and expecting you to arrive, what happens when you don't arrive? We just ignore that. He told those folks he was coming with them.
Yeah, that was a stupid thing for him to say, but it doesn't mean he caused a riot. He didn't cause the riot.
He's the only reason they're there.
He definitely got them stirred up and tried to get them, to go and protest what he thought was an illegitimate election. Which, by the way, I can't speak whether or not it was illegitimate or not. I just saw some shit that seems hella sus come out of that election. But at the end of the day, I don't have enough evidence to say that it was stolen. But what I will say is that all he did, it was what any U.S. president could do, and I wouldn't look at it and be like, oh yeah, you caused a riot. If Obama did the same thing, I would be like, yeah, Obama may be wrong, but that doesn't mean that he.
If Obama did that shit, half of those protesters would be dead. I mean, it's just
no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you and I can disagree on that all day long. But if you got a sea of black people climbing into the Capitol building and doing all that shit, even Lindsey Graham thought MAGA should have been shot in the head. If it was a sea of African Americans doing that, you're gonna tell me that they would have stood down? No way in hell you'll ever convince me of that.
We're not going to see eye to eye on that. No. So can we focus on like the actual LA riots itself?
Sure we can. But if we focus on the LA riots and you start feeling passionate about some shit that needs to be done, we're going to talk about the fact that the guy saying that shit needs to be done totally ignored it when it was his people rioting. I didn't
ignore shit.
I'm not talking about you. But just like when January 6th was often discussed, what did the J6 supporters often do? They brought up Black Lives Matter riots. Well, now it's the other way. If the Trump supporters are going to bring up what's happening in L.A., January 6th is going to go into conversation. You could not discuss January 6th without MAGA bringing up BLM. Well, it's going the other direction now.
Yeah, then that's fine. That's fine. You play stupid games. You need to win super prizes, and this is like if two guys rob a store and one of them snitches. It's like one of the reasons why people hate snitches is because hey, you did the same shit that I did, but you decided to that you didn't want to face the consequences. That's why people hate snitches.
Also, why is Trump calling this an insurrection?
Well, because it seems like it's becoming one. Now, I think he's doing premeditated. Prematurely. I don't think he should call it insurrection.
Does this man ever say something that even you feel is true? I mean, you admit he shouldn't have said he's won the election by a landslide and all this other. I mean, why does he say so much stuff that's not true?
I think he's in a mode of mind where he realizes he only has 4 years left. He needs to get shit done, and he's willing to be a little bit less careful about how he does it. Now, I think he should slow down, take a deep breath, get things done correctly, and set things up so that way when he's gone, the movement can continue on without him. I think that's what he should do.
I'm fine with that, but goddammit, be honest occasionally. I mean, if we're going to suggest that January 6th could not be an insurrection because there were no weapons, I don't see these Mexicans pulling out ARs. Why? How is this an insurrection and that was not?
Because see, the thing is, I think it's gearing up to become one.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that these riots are evolving. They're getting bigger. They're getting more aggressive. There's more chaos happening every day. And it wasn't like a few hours like it was as with Jan 6. It's been going on for several days now. Now, here's the thing. Again, I know a lot of people are going to get butthurt that I called them riots accurately.
There's some rioting. I don't disagree with you. There are some riots. You setting cars and shit on fire and throwing cinder blocks. That ain't a peaceful protest. The rioting you and I agree on.
Right. So here's a solution, and guys. Stop the riot side of it all and peacefully protest. If you don't like, and I know you've made the point oh, people won't care, or if you do it peacefully, the local government will care.
You don't even give a damn about the local government. You guys don't give a shit about California. The local government cares. So what? They're not protesting local government. They're protesting the federal government.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You want to know why you guys lost? You handed the presidency over and Congress over on a silver platter by acting crazy. No. It's when people say things and it's like your previous caller said and the Latino vote failed us or the woman vote failed us. They didn't fail you. You failed them. You fucked things up.
I'll concede. I'll concede half of that. I do believe the liberals went too far to the left in some progressive areas, so I'll agree half with you. But also, it ain't just the liberals handed the election to the Republicans. Trump lied his way to glory as well. How many things Trump are doing right now that people are saying you never campaigned on that, from the tariffs to deporting grandmas? Trump told a lot of lies too. Just like I keep telling you, when is this guy honest? Some of his victory is because he lied about a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I'll say that he did lie on some things, or he just believed things and didn't bother checking them because he was like.
He said he was not going to be a vindictive president. He said he was going to end the war on 24 hours. He told lies. He said things that were clearly lies that he knew was not true. He told us he was going to deport bad hombres, not shop owners and grandmas. He never campaigned on that.
To me, if you're illegally in the country, I don't feel bad for you. You need to get deported.
That's fine, but he didn't campaign on that. He didn't say something like that. I don't care if you're a baby in the country undocumented, you need to get deported. He didn't run on that. That's what he's doing.
He did run on getting rid of birthright citizenship. That was a big thing that he talked about.
He did do that. But he ran on a lot of lies, too, though. And I think you would kind of admit that. Jeremy, I got to move it on. You know it's always a pleasure talking to you, but I do got to do what I got to do. Thanks for coming through, man.
Before I go, I just want to say one thing.
Sure.
Why does Gangster Grandma constantly bring up like the white man having a small dick? That's a little weird. Like, why is white dick always on her mind? It's a little weird. I don't know. maybe she just needs to get with a white man and just get it out of her system.
I'm going to save that statement for next time I talk to her. Jeremy.
All right, I'll see you around, man.
Good talk. Thank you. You know, listen, sometimes when people have stereotypical statements in regards to hate or whatever you want to call it, I mean, just like a lot of folks, when they're talking critical of black people, they say you're lazy or you commit crimes. I mean, she believes white people have small dicks. I mean, but I'm going to save that statement, Jeremy. Anyway, looking in the comments, I honestly leave when she joins. Love to hear her though, says Serdia. You know, I'll tell you something. Gangsta Grandma is probably the most talked about guest. Anytime folks are talking to me about this show when I'm not on air, it's Gangsta Grandma. Because she's like the most talked about guest. Used to be Muda Tuxedo Cat back in the day. It used to be what was her name? Takesha Booth. I mean, you know, different people when they have passionate opinions. MAGA reacts often is discussed. I mean, because he's MAGA. I mean, so you know, like I said, we believe in free speech. You don't have to agree with anybody on this damn program. You're still gonna be allowed to speak because I support free speech, regardless of your opinion. Tap the screen. Go ahead and get your boy on up to about 90 thou in the likes category. No, you haven't missed her, AC. This man looks like he knows his way around a ham radio, says Cody Stewart. Yes, I've been a amateur radio operator 30 years or so. I wouldn't say I know my way around it, but 2 meters, 440, 220, some 10 meters. Looking in the comments though, I didn't even, Cody, that's the most unique compliment. I loved it. What did he say? Damn, I remember when there was a few hundred followers, you grew fast, says Kyle. I appreciate that. Thank you. Sometimes free speech has, you know, listen, my audience started predominantly MAGA. I was very critical of Biden's economy. I was critical of Biden once the 13 service personnel lost their lives during the botched evacuation in Afghanistan. I was critical of Biden in areas I didn't like him in. I didn't think he was cognitively falling apart until June 27th when he had the debate. But I was wrong about that too. But I was critical of Biden heavily. And I had 70% MAGA, about 20, 30%, and 20% liberals and, 10% in the middle or something like that. But once Biden was out of the way and Kamala Harris was put up, the cognitive issues were gone. The Afghanistan evacuation stuff you couldn't tie to her, and I was not as critical of the Democratic administration as much. And of course, Trump is always saying shit that's wrong, fabricated, exaggerated, and sometimes racist or sometimes homophobic or sexist. So once I started criticizing Trump, MAGA, free speech or not, does not tolerate criticizing Trump. And I started losing MAGA, and more liberals started joining the program. So that's kind of how it works. It is what it is. People don't like to hear their guy getting criticized. Looking in the comments, though, why would Gangsta Grandma be MAGA? You sound like a goofy. Who said Gangsta Grandma is MAGA? I've been watching your views evolve, and it's been great, Tim. Says, thank you. Let me go back to the box. Yes, free speech, Sandy Simmons, always. You see how many comments I read when people criticizing me? Criticizing black folks and shit. I don't run from anything. Sherbert, good evening. Some moron on the chat said that. Okay. Sherbert, good evening. Welcome to the program. Thank God for free speech. Lucky pilot, absolutely. And by the way, hang on a second, Sherbert. I saw you in the comment a minute ago, Sherbert. Thank you for your support of the program, by the way. But you're wrong about the notion that nobody had firearms on January 6th. We talked about it yesterday. There's an actual video of a man that was charged for actually shooting a gun in the air while on the Capitol building. And you can literally see him holding the gun in his hand with the smoke coming out of it. So certainly at least one person there had a pistol in his hand and was shooting it. Sherbert, good evening.
How's it going, Tim?
I don't even know at this point, man. We're talking about I'm asking a question. Is America great yet?
No.
What is greatness in this country? What would that look like?
For me, it would be a national healthcare system, get rid of college student loans. Yeah, that's about it.
I got
we had that. great with our rest of the things that we do that are amazing, that would put us at the top #1 superpower. Right now, we're pretty low. We've got the military might, but that doesn't make us great. That just makes us strong.
Well, I mean, I guess everybody has their own different opinion of what greatness is, but you're right. We do have a super, a super force militarily, but for the average working American, yeah, I don't see the greatness in that. It's interesting you brought up healthcare and student loans because I used to say that when people were like, "Well, why wouldn't you vote for Trump with him with the economy and things like that?" And I would say that if Joe Biden could forgive my student loans and give me universal health care, ain't shit Trump could do with the economy that would make that much of a difference in my life. I mean, that would make me personally, and I'm assuming many of you folks as well, universal health care, when you think about how much your employer takes out of your pay for health care, plus student loan costs, ain't nothing Trump even discussing that comes remotely close to the financial improvement in my life that would come from those two things.
Well, that, and I think we should empty out the prisons quite a bit of all the low-level crimes like selling weed.
I want
Not
to.
having the second highest prison inmate population in the world would make us probably pretty great, but right now, I don't think so.
I want to agree with you. What the problem is when you talk about emptying people out of prison and are in there for low-level crimes. The problem is once you put somebody in prison, even if they don't deserve to be there, you can fuck them up in the head so much that it ain't safe to release them anymore. I mean, because prison makes you worse. It actually makes you a more hardened criminal. You're not as afraid of the system. I mean, it actually makes you worse. So you probably got people in there who should never have been in there, but it might not. I mean, maybe they had to stab somebody since they've been in there, or get in a bunch of fights, or they're moving drugs on the black market. I mean, you've ruined that person. So I would agree that we should stop putting people in prison for these ridiculously low-level crimes. But in terms of letting them out, you kind of got to go on a case-by-case basis.
I'd rather us focus more on the blue-collar and the white-collar crimes than the low drug offenses. People are going to continuously do drugs for the rest of time. Yeah. I'm so confused why we're having this prohibition about it. Yeah, heroin's pretty bad. Crystal meth's pretty bad. But the lower-level stuff, man, it's not very much of freedom when you're willing to throw them in prison for literally decades.
It's crazy that people say that. People tell you that in America, this is the freest country on the planet, and you can bring up how, you can sleep with a prostitute and walk down the street smoking a joint in a host of countries that you can't do in America. And it's like, no, you free for the things you care about. You might want to own a machine gun. To you, that represents freedom. But there's a whole lot of things in this country you cannot do that you can do in places like Eastern Europe or Western Europe.
You know what might make us great is if we made it mandatory to go through gun training classes and registrations. If you have to have a different class license for a school bus, you probably need a different class license to own a machine gun.
Wow.
If you can get your regular driver's license for driving a regular car, you can have a regular driver's license for owning a handgun. This isn't that crazy. We make sure that deadly things aren't killing people all the fucking time, like chicken in our food processing plants. We make sure it's not killing people. It's not that crazy.
Yeah. But what about the folks who say we don't have a gun problem, we have a people problem? Guns don't kill people, people kill people.
And seeing as they won't ever vote to help with mental health crises, well, the Republicans can go fuck themselves right now. You can't complain about the system and then be the reason it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, I think that they believe that being able to defend yourself and your family is more important than any type of legislation to prevent people from getting shot. I mean, they
get a license. It's not, if you really care about your home defense that much, get a fucking license.
Yeah. Well, and I see some people in the comments are putting in to own a machine gun in a lot of states. You do need a license for that. But I mean,
cool. It's countrywide. It's not that crazy. Yeah. We make people have explosive permits. A gun is just a very small explosive.
It's a good point. I think the issue is they believe that any gun law put in place is a stepping stone towards total gun confiscation.
No,
so they're going to go against anything.
No. When the number one reason for children dying in America was gun violence over cancer and car crashes, you can all eat a dick.
Is it really that high? It's the number one reason?
That's the number one reason for child death is more than cancer and more than car crashes. It's children getting shot up or killing themselves in the house because their parents are too stupid to lock up the ammo.
Wow. I didn't know it was quite that high. Well, I mean, people are going to put their gun rights over, unexplained or, unforeseen children's deaths. I mean, anytime you have a school shooting or something like that, what's the first thing we do in this country? We strengthen the gun access. I mean, it's too soon to talk about taking them away. It's too soon to have a gun debate. They've run to legislation to strengthen your ability. Shall not be infringed is what comes out of those things.
Yeah, these are the same people like MAGA Reacts and Jeremy that are willing to have people shot at these protests.
Yeah, you heard Jeremy. You heard what he said.
Yeah, Jeremy pisses me off even more than MAGA Reacts today.
Wow.
Shit. This guy's an idiot.
Well, but what about what he said, though? If you're protesting and cops get injured at the protest, you kind of had it coming, is what he's saying.
There is a certain level of logic to that. But then he just completely dismisses January 6th.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with MAGA Reacts. They're downplaying the totality of what happened. Well, he said go peacefully in so he said that 30 seconds in a 4-hour, rally there. Giuliani was literally saying we shall have blood sports.
And that's what I told him.
Don't have a country anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I
don't have a country anymore. Yeah, you're probably going to get a little violent. Yeah. But no, he said peacefully. That neutralizes absolutely everything that had been said before and after that.
And that's exactly what I told him, is that to go and protest peacefully and patriotically, that only works if you exclude everything else. You're right. There was all kinds of inflammatory rhetoric said by Giuliani, Steve Bannon, what was the other again? Flynn or whatever his name is. Yeah, they were saying all kinds of inflammatory shit there that day.
And you didn't understand the false electors, which is, I think, a true crime against this country that people don't understand how it was a 3-pronged attempt to take over the goddamn country. It was literally a coup, and the riot was only one part of that. But because he said go peacefully, it's all fine, right? There's no coup then.
Yeah. I'm still baffled. I'm still baffled, even for MAGA, how Trump got reelected. Now, look, if you think the election was, at the end of the day, you heard both MAGA Reacts and Jeremy. Both of them do admit, even though they support Trump, they both admit that Trump did tell some lies about the 2020 election. For me, that alone should exclude him. That alone, the fact that you said that you won by a landslide and you got your own supporters saying that probably ain't true. And what did MAGA Reacts say? You threw spaghetti against the wall, and you're admitting this guy basically lied about the election.
Fuck Reacts for this. Oh, they did it in the open. It can't be illegal. Yeah, he's too stupid to do it in private. That doesn't make it not illegal. Are you kidding me, Reacts?
Well.
That they can't look at anything critically. I know he's going to be listening to this. Do your damn research. You say you look into all this shit, but you don't look at it in totality. I don't think they've gone over every aspect, every minute of that entire fucking day, and yet, he said peacefully. It's all good then, right, guys?
I don't think it's necessarily about research. I think it's kind of, look, if it favors Trump. Well, I'll leave it up to you to say that, but I'll give you a perfect example. When Elon Musk was finding waste, fraud, and abuse, MAGA was celebrating that shit. He was doing what was right for this country. He was working for Trump as an agent of Doge. They didn't even need proof. The fact that he was saying he was finding it, they trusted Elon as a operative of Doge working for Trump. All of a sudden, he said Trump is on Epstein's list and deliberately is not releasing the list because his name is on it. For some strange reason, he's just saying that because all of the trust in Elon went away. Like, you've been trusting this dude for the last 4 or 5 months. Once he says Trump is hiding the Epstein list because he's on it, the trust that you had in Elon is just oozing away, and there's no legitimate reason for why you're suddenly starting to not trust him. He didn't do anything. He just told you something else.
I'm confused why anybody has trust in either him or Trump when they've never shown you a lick of evidence for anything. You know, fool me once, but when you fooled me 75 fucking times, how can I ever trust these people to be rational when they can't admit when something is clearly in front of their goddamn eyes? They talk about how the Democrats went way too far. I don't know what they're talking about. We just try and be inclusive to everyone.
Well, the Democrats did. I mean, when you start talking about it's okay,
they're being racist that they don't want everyone to have everything.
I'm not gonna.
How are we paying for this goddamn military parade for a dictator's birthday, but you're worried about feeding children? Fuck you.
All right, but the Democrats did go too far to the left on some issues, though.
How? What issue? Where did they go too far?
I think one of the ones that I don't favor, because I don't think it's happening to too many people, but there are Democrats who do believe a transgender girl should be able to play women's sports. It's not happening to many people at all, but it shouldn't happen to anybody.
So you're going to take an edge case and say that the entirety of the Democrats went too far. You're starting to fluff there, Tim. Be careful.
I'm telling you that the Democratic Party. I'm telling you that when they're asking a Supreme Court nominee to define what a woman is, and she's stuttering and humbling and she can't answer that question, that's going too far. You're making it sound like the genders are starting to fade away.
No, that's pretty stupid.
In your opinion?
Yes, exactly in my opinion.
Right.
I have a trans sister, so I'm coming at this with a little bit of bias.
Do you believe your trans sister should be able to play women's sports?
No.
Okay. I'm just telling you, there are Democrats that were okay with that, and I thought that was toxic and stupid to do.
And there's Ted Cruz okay with letting immigrants die in the buoys on the Guadalupe River.
Well, that's the racism and hate part you talked about. I'll agree with that.
And so they treated the trans like they were the gays of the 1980s, demonized them, ran the entire campaign, like you've said 100 times before. They made it. The Republicans made that the issue.
Yeah.
The Democrats were just saying, yeah, they're people. They should probably be allowed to exist and get married and do whatever. Maybe not play sports, but also there's entire leagues that have people who make rules.
What about this
to make that not our problem?
What about
never have come up to the Supreme Court?
What about the whole notion that your kid could be at school identifying as the other gender and the teacher did not have to tell you about it?
I think that comes down to individual basis, because we've all heard about the father that doesn't agree with gay people, and then if they say anything that they're going to get their ass whooped, so then the school becomes a safe place. Now, should they tell the parent most of the time? Yeah. But in certain situations, I see no issues with that. Mostly because no one's having a surgery at school when they're not even allowed to give them fucking Tylenol.
Yeah, and that right there. I mean, but the Republicans were able to the Republicans were able to successfully have people thinking that what did Trump say? You send a kid to school and 3 days later he comes home with a girl, and people believe that. People actually believe you can send John to school and 3 days later he comes home jetted. Like they just kept your kid at school for 3 days operating on him. MAGA believed that stuff, so it did work.
Reacts, I didn't make anything an issue. The Republicans put this on the Democrats. F off.
Well, it did succeed.
Yeah, I gotta defend human decency. I'm surprised that's an issue, that I have to defend being decent to every human being. I thought that's what God taught us.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned let me run this one by you, because you mentioned children dying by way of firearm, their number one cause of death. No Reply says black youth in particular were disproportionately affected, accounting for 46% of all youth firearm deaths in 2023, despite only making up 14% of the youth population. Does that have any relevance?
I don't know, honestly. I've never truly looked into the studies. This is what I've heard. And I've never heard any corresponding, documentation saying that's not the case. So I couldn't tell you for certain, Tim.
Yeah, well, the reason why I say it doesn't have any relevance is because you said dying by way of firearm is one of the leading causes, if not the leading cause of death for children. And what he's basically saying is, yeah, but it's black kids. I mean, a kid is a kid. I mean, that's kind of what he said. Yeah, that's kind of what he said. Yeah, but it's that's what he's basically. Yeah, you're right, but it's just black kids.
Who said that, Tim?
One of the guys, no reply on YouTube, respond. Yeah, but it's black kids.
You're a racist piece of shit. Fuck you.
I mean, he's pointing out that, yeah, it happens, but it's disproportionately black children. I mean,
that has nothing to do with my fact that children are dying at a huge rate, and the Republicans literally refuse to even put the basics in. Like a national gun registry. We still have to keep this shit on paper documents? This is 2025. We've got AI for everything. Yeah. And you're telling me we can't know where the guns are? Because you're afraid?
Well, they believe if you have to have some kind of gun registry of sorts or something like that, it'll lead to the government knowing who has guns and when to confiscate. You got to understand
which we should be able to do. Trump even said the red flag laws, we can't wait for the courts to come in when somebody's making credible threats. Your own God King said that we should take the guns first, but no, we can't have a registry so they know who actually has the guns.
And I don't know.
When we find somebody who has a gun and it's not registered, we can actually charge him for that because we know who has the guns.
And it's interesting you bring it up. I don't know how Trump gets such a high rating with the NRA and with the right in regards to the Second Amendment when he has a statement like that on his resume where he literally talked about in cases of mental health, sometimes then give due process to people. And the right gave him a total pass on that. To literally take your gun away first and then you have to get due process and prove that you have a right to own it. So they're going to treat you like you're guilty before you have to prove you're innocent. And the right gave him a complete pass on that.
I really hate that. They're not intellectually honest with themselves, and that's why they're going to keep gagging on his dick versus actually looking at anything critically.
Well, Trump is the man.
I didn't like Biden. I never really liked Biden. I just didn't have a problem with him. Yeah, he was a little creepy. He was old as fuck. I was depressed when it was going to be Biden versus Trump after the primary. So why can't anyone else admit Trump's not the God King? He's just a shitty old man.
I think Trump is delivering an America that a lot of folks have wanted for a very long time and had a lot of politicians that were either too afraid to give them that America or canceling everybody and not letting people be who they wanted to be. That is what's making Trump so
desirable. This America, they can go home. They can go somewhere else, Tim. Ooh. Get on a flight. Go somewhere else. You don't like the America we had? Fuck you.
All right, sure.
I'm sorry we include everyone in our country. I'm sorry we can't just be racist to everyone like you look, not you, but all these supporters clearly want to be. Well, if you're okay with children dying, then you're clearly okay with the racist country we have.
Well, we'll see about the racism, but I can tell you for a fact they're okay with children dying. Sherbert, thanks for coming through.
Hey, MAGA Reacts, everyone's calling me God King. Fuck you. Have a good night, Tim.
All right, man. By the way, that's happening on YouTube as well. They're calling him God. Somebody said Trump, God, Emperor of the United States, also known as Geodis. Never heard of Geodis, no reply. But there's a lot of folks on YouTube right now calling him the God Emperor. So, like I said, I was in a Trump rally myself, and I had one of the patrons, one of the Trump, one of the MAGA goers. Look, we're talking 5-hour wait. We're waiting to get into the rally, and I had somebody tell me Trump was appointed by God to basically make us great. So there are people that believe Trump has that hierarchy. I do believe that. Oh my God, why are you calling Republicans racist? That is so ignorant, says Mac. Well, listen, look, folks believe Democrats are racist. How many people vote for me? You ain't black. Biden's supposedly a racist. He hung around Senator Byrd, the late Senator Byrd of what was he, Louisiana, whatever state he was a senator of back then. He died in 2010. Like I said, vote for me, you ain't black. What else? The crime bill of 94. I mean, there's a lot of folks who believe that their Democrats are racist. So you got people that believe Trump is racist. Now, I'm going to tell you this. It ain't like you can say, well, Trump ain't never said anything at all for somebody to say he's racist. Whether you think he's racist or not, we can debate that. But he has said some shit. He has been involved in some shit that is not totally out of pocket to say, damn, that sounded racist, or damn, that appeared racist. I played the clip of him with Bill O'Reilly blaming African Americans for almost all white homicides. Completely false. And he didn't apologize for that. I mean, to me, that is borderline racist. I mean, you know, so, and I see in the comments somebody said like what I'll see if I can find it before we go to the next caller. But yeah, Trump has said and did things that it ain't out of pocket to at least question, why would you do this if you're not racist? You know, if you're not, why would you say or do something like this? Trump has said a few things. So, you know, look, if you favor Trump, you favor him, but you can't just dismiss shit that looks clearly suspicious. I'll see if I can get my computer to work right and see if I can bring it up. I don't know why I'm looking at a TikTok video when I'm typing in YouTube. Are you the wizard master of KK? That makes no sense. Taco Commander and Grifter in Chief Double Cheeseburger Tester. Damn, that's a mouthful. Man, everyone at some point said something racist at one point to all the creed. You have all, well, okay, that's fine, Mac. If everybody, but that just because everybody said it don't mean you don't call some shit out. Okay, if everybody has said some shit that sounds stereotypical, bigoted or racist, then when they say it, you can call them out. You don't look at Archie Bunker and say, well, everybody said something like that. If you're saying some wild, when Joe Biden said, vote for me or you ain't black, you didn't say everybody said something like that. No, you held his ass accountable for what he was saying. So if Trump does it, why doesn't he get held accountable? You don't start with everybody said something like this. No, right now he's doing it. Right now he is the one that's doing it. So he gets the credit for it. Everybody says something. Okay, all right. You can be racist without being abusive. True. That is absolutely true. I'll see if I can find what I was looking for before we go on to the next caller. See if I can. I normally had this shit in my machine, but this was I may have lost where I had it at. What does that say here? If everyone smokes weed, it wouldn't be happening. Don't know what that means. Trump, 4 more long years. Well, he's got 3.5 years, so it won't be 4. Unless something else happens. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to read your comments and type at the same time. Looking in the comments because don't hold anyone accountable. I think anybody that says some crazy shit should be held accountable. In fact, talking about crazy shit, David Todd in the comments is saying something I think is really crazy. This is a quote from Morgan Freeman. He says, Morgan Freeman started to eliminate racism, then don't talk about it. Or stated. And Morgan Freeman did do that. And to me, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of is that, you know, if you want to get rid of racism, don't talk about it. Listen, if I don't like Asian people, not talking about how I feel is not going to change my feeling towards Asian people. If you do not like, let's say for instance, you don't like blacks, you think they're lazy, or you think they're criminal, or you think they're uneducated, whatever. You think if everybody stops talking about it, you're going to change your tune? You're going to just hate them silently. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. You think if Martin Luther King had to stop talking about Jim Crow laws and racism in that day, the whites would have just started being nice? The only reason they were acting that way is because he was talking about it? That is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. There is never going to be any atrocity in history that went away simply because people stopped talking about it. In fact, if you're doing something wrong, you kind of want people to stop talking about it because it allows you to keep doing it. You think the abuse in the Catholic Church with children would have went away if people stopped talking about it? I mean, can you think of any atrocity in history that would go away simply if people stopped talking about it? That's almost like allowing it to continue happening. That's what Martin Luther King once said. You know, all it takes is for this stuff to exist is for good men to stand by and do nothing. Not talking about it is like giving it fuel. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And by the way, if I'm correct, Morgan Freeman retracted that statement. I believe he did end up retracting that statement. Arsha Fine, good evening. Welcome to the program. Are we great yet?
Hi, Tim.
Hey.
I agree with you on all the stupid.
Are we great? Oh, somebody's go ahead. Are we great yet? That's the question we're talking about.
Well, what I've decided, and you can debate. I'm living in dog years at this time, Tim. It's been 5 months. To some people, 5 months is 5 years. To some, 5 months is 5 weeks. I'm just going to say I'm fairly confident if I'm going by the timeline of how I'm feeling, Trump is going to have a fourth term.
He's going to have a hard term?
No, he's going to have a fourth term.
Oh.
And it's a joke. Because my 5 months feels like 5 years. If at this point we're continuing on the bandwagon of whatever of this, then he's going to serve 4 terms. That's how I'm feeling within my tendies right now. As far as time, I feel like I'm living in dog years, months, dog years, dog weeks. Not sure.
I get the point. I get the well. The thing about it is, the thing about it is, under the Trump administration, things move so quickly that 4 years of Trump probably would feel like 12.
Yeah, it sucks. I feel like I got diagnosed with cancer, and now I'm being. Can we just have Okay. Tim, you and I are about the same age.
Okay.
We're 19. I was born in 74. I think you might be a few years older than me, but still wiser. Okay.
Oh.
We grew up where you could almost forget a president, right?
Yeah, it was a lot less. You didn't hear from him as much.
You could almost forget a president. I want to almost forget Trump. Can you just give me a week, 2 weeks? Where I know that you're just doing your job, but you're not there.
He's having too much fun, Arsha. He's having Trump enjoys
that's
the stuff.
And that's the difference between a leader of a nation and a narcissist.
Explain.
The leader of a nation, whether it's Ronald Reagan, because the Republicans, the Grand GOP wants to put Ronald Reagan as like their, or Nixon, or JFK, or George H.W. Bush, or George Bush, or Bill Clinton, or George W., or even Obama. Like, the biggest travesty was like a tan suit with Obama. Well, I mean, that wasn't the biggest, but there was a lot of things. I'm gonna say something to the American people that are on this live.
Okay.
And I never thought it was important until now. But pets matter.
Pets, like a dog and a cat?
Yes, pets matter.
What?
And the reason I'm going to say this, I know you're going to think it's petty and silly and stupid, but Donald Trump and Melania are the very first family ever, even in their first term, to not have pets.
Yeah.
They tore things down. They did not build things up. They got rid of gardens. They didn't plant gardens. We have cats, mainly because they do their job.
But
keeping
what are you saying?
But what I'm saying is, in the history of histories of our presidents, they've either been dog people or cat people or just pet people.
But wait a minute. Hold on. What is, I get that all of the presidents have always had a pet. I agree with that. But are you saying that Because Trump and Melania do not have a family pet, that somehow makes them ineffective?
No, what I'm saying is that should be a flag.
Really?
At this point, no, I know you're going to think it's stupid. I know you're going to think it's crazy.
Yeah,
but you can be an asshole, but at least your dog is going to come home. You're going to come home and your dog's going to wag his tail and be, yes, I love you. Scratch my hindquarters and take me for a walk. They don't got anybody wagging. They don't got anybody wagging. They don't got anybody meowing. They don't got shit. Melania is not even. Let's just keep it real. Melania and Donald Trump are separated. She's hanging out, living her best life. She's not even first ladying. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. Just keep it real, people. Pets don't like you. People don't like you. Your wife doesn't like you.
Well, I'll agree with only a little. I won't go too deep down the pet road, but I will agree with you that I think for all intents and purposes, Trump and Melania are likely separated. That part I do agree with. I mean, because if I'm correct, even when he was bringing Stormy Daniels in the house years ago, even she said when he brought her in the house, he told her then that they don't sleep together. I know when he became president the first time, Melania did not even come live in the White House for months. I mean, I don't think they're together.
And I do not blame Melania one bit.
What are you saying?
I'm saying I don't blame Melania one bit. Well, come on, they're in a marriage of convenience at this point. You know, anybody who wants to think that they're this amazing first family with Christian values, shut the fuck up. They don't even have a dog, okay? Like, that's basic. They don't have a dog, they don't have a cat, they don't even have a rabbit. Can you have a hamster with a hamster wheel? Well, you didn't give your kids didn't even have pets? Like, what's wrong with you people? Anyway, moving on to the different of the 5 months, are we better?
Yes.
Fuck no. Well, sorry, excuse me. No, Tim. No. My answer is no.
Let me ask it to you this way. Do you believe Trump has done anything good for America?
I believe that Donald Trump has fulfilled his promises on the campaign trail. And for anybody at that time, whether they're MAGA or MAGA deranged, whatever, or on the cusp, or Republican, or whatever it is you are, it doesn't even matter. If at any point you thought, he's just saying it, he's not going to implement it, this is the point where you have been proven wrong. So you need to be quiet. You need to be quiet. Because he's done every single good, bad, ugly, possibly tyrannical, all the things.
What about the fact that many folks feel like the country's border is more safer under Trump, and people are not just coming here willy-nilly they're not being vetted. I mean, is he not doing a good job with the border?
Okay. The border is a bipartisan issue, and that's the thing. But for all those human beings that came here legally, and when I say legally, the legal process, filing for asylum, filing for this sort of thing, you have your court date. You're supposed to show up at your court date. Why? Because that's the legal route to gaining your pay. If you are going to sabotage and trap human beings who are trying to go about the process in the legal way, again, these are not illegal aliens. They are not illegal immigrants. These people have gone through the process. If you're going to trap them, because I've been listening to you today. If you're going to trap them, sabotage them, you're going to basically cause them to be fearful of going about the legal process of documentation. Then they become, at that point, illegal. So, it's either damned if I do or damned if I don't.
I think Trump just wants them gone. I don't think he cares about following the legal process. I mean, he wants them gone.
And unless you're a white South African.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a
so I mean, you know, if my thoughts on this are, Tim, when what happens for one happens for all. It's just a matter of time. And if their legal rights, because again, the majority of these people have not broken the law. They've gone through the system.
Well, they believe that they believe breaking the law is them being here illegally.
But they're not here illegally if they have gone through all the process to be in the country.
Yeah.
Okay, you crossing the border and being like, hey, and swimming across the river and showing up and babysitting, that's illegal. You swimming across the river, showing up at Border Patrol, filling out all the paperwork, and signing for asylum, that is legal. Yeah. You are not an illegal immigrant.
That is true.
You put yourself in the fucking system. You've done all the things that matter. What I want to know is how come these amazing, qualified humans aren't getting the same fast track of housing, free health care, and the phone number of the dude as white Afrikaners. So tell me what it is. What is it? So what I want to know, just let's just put it kind of basic thought. Tell me what it is, those 36, 56, 60 white African. I'm not saying there's anything wrong.
Well, first of all, it's only 59 of them compared to millions of immigrants.
But hold on. What are those 59 people going to do for the United States of America? Because we're obviously going to be paying their rent. We're doing all these. I can tell you what some of these immigrants coming legally.
What are you saying? The South Afrikaners are not going to work?
No, what I'm saying is you can't have it both ways. You can't have a government that's wanting to fast track a specific people, which we already know why they're fast tracking those people, Tim. We cannot.
But Arsha, it's only 59 South Afrikaners compared to millions of immigrants.
Do you know how many millions of vegetables we eat?
I get all of it. I'm just simply saying if you're comparing these two groups.
But those immigrants are actually coming across the border, filling out all the paperwork to enter this country legally. I get it. If you're an illegal, if you swam across the river and you dodged all the paperwork, I get it.
Right.
Okay? Sorry about your luck, man. Try again next time.
No, I agree with what you're saying. Trump changed the rules so that people who were here legally suddenly became illegal. I get that. I gotta move it on. I'll give you the last word, but I do gotta move it. Go ahead.
But the thing I'm gonna say to the American people is you want all these immigrants to abide by the rules. But if they're abiding by the rules and the king is no longer abiding by those rules, who's coming next?
That's a good point. Appreciate it, Arsha. I got to move it on. Thank you.
All right.
And I will say, in regards to what she was saying, really, I don't mind immigrants being here, just come legally. The system is actually rigged. That statement sounds good, but in reality is bullshit. Benito Finito says Trump has promised releasing the Epstein files. Liar. Didn't he promise to do that weeks ago, months ago? We'll see what happens. But the system is rigged in regards to you can come in this country, just come legally. Because you're waiting outside of courtrooms to deport people. Them folks are not here illegally. You decided that regardless of what the judge says, you're going to cancel their case and deport them. Coming legally didn't mean a damn thing. That person had no chance at all of staying. And I'll tell you also, too, this applies to these folks. You seen Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, had this commercial out about you need to self-deport, and if you don't, you can never come back. But if you self-deport, you might be able to come back one day. you're not going to be allowed back in under the Trump administration. That's a fucking lie. Now, if you self-deport, maybe a liberal down the line may let you back in. But if Trump, during the Trump era, as long as Trump is president, you ain't coming back in. Right now, I don't believe there's any process available for illegal immigrants to come in across the southern border. They've completely eradicated the asylum process, so you cannot claim asylum anymore. That avenue is gone. And most of the other ways that you would come in here, you can't have a baby, what do they call it, birthright citizen. They're trying to get rid of that. There's not going to be any way to come here legally. So if you think that if you self-deport, that'll leave the door open, I can come back, it ain't going to be under Trump. Now, I do want to play this. TPS is over. Yeah, temporary protected status is over with. If you're a Cuban, they used to have it where you could step 1 foot on American soil. If you caught a raft or something, you could step. They're getting rid of every avenue possible. Don't come illegally, just come legally. Yeah, but we're going to close off all the legal ways for you to come here. It's a switcheroo. I mean, at the end of the day, it's rigged. You can't win. It's to quote Trump's phrase, it's rigged. The system is rigged. If you're an immigrant, you can't come. Come legally is just something that sounds good. There's no way for you to do that. Now, I do want to play this clip, if my computer acts right, because this is something I've played before when folks say, well, because somebody in the comments asked me this. I said, look, I'm not saying Trump is racist, but it's not out of pocket to at least point out he said some things that are at least suspect. This one here is one that I don't have any explanation for it, and I'm able to play devil's advocate. I've been able to defend Trump in ways that a lot of liberals don't like me defending Trump. I don't have any defense for this. This, in my humble opinion, is some racist shit, and this came from Trump. You're going to see him talking on this. In the comments, oh, well, bye-bye, says Ray Castro. I'm also replacing MAGA with lesbian trans immigrants. Damn. And I'm posting the identity of ICE agents. Ooh, that would be challenging, Lunar, because they all wearing masks. I'm surprised the liberals ain't got on that. Start trying to get the identity of some of these ICE agents. I don't know where it'll go, but I'm surprised they ain't tried to start doing it. This is Trump on Bill O'Reilly. And this, when people say he ain't never said or did anything that's racially oriented, this is one I don't have any defense for. Before I go to it, Benito Finito says, check out Palantir's expansion of the Foundry software under Trump sometime. AI created to create dossiers for every citizen. MAGA voted for it. I'm not a fan of giving Elon Musk all our data. I don't think anything's going to come out of that that's going to be good. I wasn't a fan of that to begin with. But MAGA really liked Elon at the time. We'll see where it goes. Here goes.
Are you aware that the liberal media and the Democratic Party in general trying to paint you as a racist? Are you aware of that?
I think so, but I think people know better than that. I'm probably the least racist person on earth.
Well, I've known you a long time, and I never saw any racism from you. However, when you tweet out a thing, and this bothered me, I got to tell you, you tweeted out that whites killed by blacks, these were statistics you picked up from somewhere, at a rate of 81%. And that's totally wrong. Whites killed by blacks is 15%. Yet you tweeted it was 81%. Now,
Bill, I didn't tweet. I retweeted somebody that was supposedly an expert.
But you don't
and it was also a radio show.
Why do you want to be in that zone?
Hey, Bill, am I going to check every statistic? I get millions and millions of people.
You got it. You're a presidential contender. You got to check
millions of people. You know what? Fine. But this came out of radio shows and everything else.
Oh, come on.
All
Radio
it was
shows?
A retweet. I didn't say, excuse me. All it was is a retweet. It wasn't from me, and it did. It came out of a radio show and other places because you see all the names.
Look, you know I'm looking out for you, right? You know that? You know I'm looking out for you. I look out for every honest politician. I don't care what party they're in. Don't do this. Don't put your name on stuff like this because it makes the other side, it gives them stuff to tell the ill-informed voter that you're a racist. I mean, he just handed him the platter.
This was a retweet. Bill, I'm sure you're looking out for me. Everybody is, right?
Yeah.
This was a retweet. This was a retweet.
All right, whatever it is.
And it
I
came
told
from
you shouldn't
sources that
tweet
are
ever.
very credible.
You shouldn't be tweeting. Don't tweet. Give it up for Lent. Lent is coming soon.
Okay.
Now, I want to talk about a few things in this. The reason why I'm saying that this is flat out something that Trump did that is incredibly racist. When people say, well, he ain't never done nothing that's racist. Well, first of all, you hear him saying, because Trump is saying, you know, you got to check this stuff out. And he says, I get millions of letters and emails sent to me. I can't check everything out. He's the guy who is known for the phrase fake news. Yet here he is admitting, I send shit out without even checking the validity of it. And he's the one telling everybody else they're sending out fake news. And here he is on TV admitting he sends stuff out that is damning like this without even checking it out first. That's the first thing. But let's get into what he actually sent out. This is the picture that was sent out. You see on the screen behind me. The problem with this is it's saying that 81% of white homicide victims were killed by black people. So in other words, if you're the victim of a homicide, there's a very high likelihood that a black person is going to do it. If you're a white person and somebody takes your life, there's an 81% chance that it's a black person, which really paints black people to be wholesale killers of whites. I mean, obviously, there's a large portion of white America that don't even have blacks around them. They're not even in their area. I mean, you really think a bunch of black people are committing all the murders in Montana or Idaho somewhere? I mean, so 81%. Now, you heard Bill O'Reilly correct him and tell him the actual number is only 15%. In other words, blacks tend to kill blacks, whites tend to kill whites. You kill people that you generally are around. There's usually a connection between the killer and the victim. So he's painting blacks out to be wholesale killers of whites. Now, you see the photo that's also included on this thing. This is what he tweeted out. It's a picture of what's clearly an African American. The guy has the pistol turned to the side like they do in gang movies. He's wearing a do-rag and his pants are sagging. This came from Trump. So he's tweeting out a picture of what looks like a young black gangbanger with these incredibly exaggerated statistics. Below, you can't see it because I got this little, the line or the timer things down there, but it says the source came from the Crime Statistics Bureau of San Francisco. That's the source of these numbers. You heard Bill O'Reilly tell him that source doesn't exist, and then Trump go, well, I don't have time to check everything out. So it's a completely fabricated source. Like I said, even to this day, this has been years ago, even to this day, Trump never apologized to this or apologized for this, never even explained why he tweeted out to begin with. I mean, let's say it was true. Let's say this was actually true. Why would you go online and tell white people that blacks are killing them so much? I mean, what would be the purpose of this? What would be the purpose of going online and just making black people look like they're all homicidal to white people? This came from him. Even to this day, he has never released any statement as to why he would go online and send this out to begin with. I'll tell you this, if I believed Trump and I didn't have any white friends or white associates, and I believed what I'm seeing here, and I'm a white guy walking down the street and I see a bunch of black kids coming toward me, I'm either put my hand on my pistol or I'm across the street. Because if something happened to me, there's an 81% chance it's going to be done by a black person. This is awful. That's the only way to put it. This makes blacks look terrible. There's no other way to explain that. This is a presidential contender getting on social media and telling the public at large that white people are being murdered wholesale by blacks. If you are a homicide victim as a white person, there is an 81% chance that a black person is going to be the one that's doing it. That's what's on here. Never said anything racist at all. Now, the argument, and there is really no argument why a presidential contender would ever send some shit out like this. But if you're going to defend Trump, you're going to come up with a reason. The reason it's a retweet. He didn't say it, it's just a retweet. Which leads to a couple interesting pushbacks. First of all, where did you get this shit from? You didn't get this from NBC. You didn't even get this from Fox News. Where were you at online that you came across something like this? So that kind of shows you where he's scrolling. This is going to come from a hate site. Let me just be clear. Any site that's posting this is not favorable to black people. Because they're also, because he took this and retweeted it. But this is not something that was delivered specifically to him. He's on some media site, and this is what they're telling people that indulge in that media. That black people, so chances are it's a site that is consumed mostly by probably white people, and they are not favorable to blacks. To the point where they're making up sources. This is not even a real source at the bottom of this. And Trump came across it, and I think that'll be a good thing to retweet, and sent it out. So that's the first thing. Where the hell are you getting this from? Second thing, in regards to trying to defend him and say it's a retweet, I think that's the most ridiculous defense, but you hear people say that. Well, Trump shouldn't get blamed for it's a retweet. If you post something on your account, you're responsible for it. Let's say, for instance, you had a guy out there who enjoyed something criminal, like exploitation of minors. You're going to tell me he could go and retweet it from somebody else and he wouldn't get no blame for it because it didn't come from him? Once you take your site and retweet it, what's on your site describes you. You don't just get to retweet all kinds of hate shit and, well, I wasn't the one that created it. Listen, Farrakhan does not like white people. I say that all the time. I consider Farrakhan, Minister Louis Farrakhan, as a racist. You're going to tell me that if I'm running for president, I can retweet his shit and I don't get any blame for it because it didn't come from me? This is racist. I'm just going to tell you that. This right here is racist. There's no defense for this. If you're going to tell me that an African American should look at this and think that Trump still loves them, but you can see vote for me or you ain't black as being racist, then you're just fucking biased. You can see vote for me or you ain't black, but you don't see no problem with this at all, then you're just fucking biased. So anyhow, just looking at, just want to bring this up because people often say Trump ain't never said or did anything that's racially oriented. I don't have any explanation for that. And I would try to come up with one just for the purpose of playing devil's advocate if I could. I don't have any way to come up. And I'll look in the comments. Hopefully one of you guys can give me some reason why he would do that. And why he wouldn't apologize. Make it make sense. I don't have any reason, any way to legitimize that. In the comments, Max says, it is not racist, bro. Talk about the other side like they do. What? You can't just look at this. Well, it's not racist. No, give me a reason why it's not. Tell me, what do you see this as loving? You see this as showing adoration and love towards the black community? Just giving out false numbers that tell people they're going around killing a bunch of whites? It's not racist at all, huh? It's just a love fest, right? Okay. All right, like I said, we can go back and forth whether you think the guy's racist or not. I'm not here to argue that. I'm just simply saying, for anybody who says he's never said or did anything that people should consider, this goes against that. This goes against that. Longer hair, you hair a sign of heterosexual. Okay, I know what you guys are talking about. The homophobes are afraid how gay they are. And I see Anthony J says it makes me angry. Yeah, I don't have an answer for why a presidential contender would just go online and send something like this out. And like I said, even if it was true, why are you just online posting this? I'm just going to go online and tell white people something that's really awful about blacks. Why? This creates division. This would create division because, like I said, if I was white and I didn't have any black friends or associates, this wouldn't make me want to be around nobody black. I can tell you that. Look it in the comments. It's odd that ICE arrested 15 textile workers in Los Angeles that were sewing Made in America on the garments while Trump was directing the military forces to intervene on his Chinese-made iPhone. Yeah. I can't speak. Well, listen, Trump wants to get rid of these people. There is an element of replacement theory in there, and I think that's the goal, is to reverse that. I believe that's the goal. Seems like it has a movie. Seems like it has a motive, and Steve Bannon loved this stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if this came from a Steve Bannon type site. I mean, wherever Trump found this, there's more of this kind of stuff on that site. Right. And there's a reason why they put down a false source and they didn't use themselves. And I don't think Trump would want you to even know he's browsing that site. Wherever he came across this information, that whole site is likely like that. That's not a very friendly site, probably, for minorities, for them to post something like this. Are the numbers even? No, the numbers are terribly inaccurate. No, they're not. It says only 2% of blacks are killed by whites. So if you're a black victim of a homicide, there's a 2% chance a white person did it. Like I said, if you're a white victim of a homicide, there's an 81%. I mean, that's insane. But also it says only 1% of blacks are killed by police. That's probably close to true. Most blacks that are victims of a homicide are not being killed by the cops. Those cases get sensationalized, but your chances of being killed is by a black man if you're black, overwhelmingly by a black man. So that one might be, I don't know if it's 1%, but that one, I would think it might even be lower than that. But that one is probably the closest one to true. Whites that are killed by police, 3%. So it also fits into his narrative that the police are killing more whites than blacks, and they're barely killing any blacks at all. That's kind of it. That narrative is there as well. Whites killed by whites, 16%. So white people ain't really killing each other that much. It's black people killing them. That's what he's saying here. Whites killed by whites, 16%. Now, this is just like, this is about as anti-African American as you can come. This shit is just fucking racist. And then it says at the bottom, you see blacks killed by blacks, 97%. That's probably true too. I mean, like I said, if you are a black victim of a homicide, chances are highly likely that the killer was black as well. So I do believe the blacks killed by blacks number, and I wouldn't run from the blacks killed by police number. But the rest of that shit is just completely off the chart wrong. Certainly the whites killed by blacks at 81%. You heard O'Reilly state it's 15%. 15%. But this is also the kind of stuff that can anger people and get somebody hurt. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, if you believe this and you got some young lad on your porch at 3 a.m. trying to ask for directions or something like that, knocking on your door, I can see grabbing a pistol. You've heard of people stopping and asking for directions and getting shot through the door and shit like that. Well, if you're sitting around reading this shit, I can kind of understand why you would do that. I can kind of understand why seeing an African American in the middle of the night might make you grab a gun. If you're reading this kind of shit, it ain't too far-fetched to me. If that is how the percent works, it is all in comparison. We don't have the other part, so we don't really know what that means. He was confronted by Bill O'Reilly and even admitted he don't even know what the fuck he was posting. There's no defense for it. You're still trying to defend this. He was actually on TV given a chance to defend what he posted, and he couldn't even do it. Did you not just watch the video? You trying to defend the man when the man admitted he don't even fucking know what he put out there. This is why they say cults. Just come out and agree that this shit was wrong, and he had no reason. I mean, you're literally trying to defend it. Bill O'Reilly gave him plenty of time to defend it and even told him, this is what makes people think you're racist. And here you are still trying to defend it. That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. Black population has to marry and father their children. There's nothing wrong with that, but that don't mean you make up fake statistics and say they're murdering everybody. Why does every black person who gets an education and money move away from other black people? That's actually false, Aaron. That is actually false. There are plenty of educated and upper middle class people living in black neighborhoods. I mean, but then again, I mean, how many wealthy people are living in a fucking trailer park? I mean, you think Eminem, the rapper who grew up in a trailer park, you think you still want to live there? I mean, fact is, you can outgrow your surroundings. That ain't something unique to the African American community. If you live in a poor hunky dunk town and you suddenly come into some lottery winnings, you're not gonna stay in a town where the average home is only worth $47,000 and you got a few million in the bank. Anybody gonna fucking move? What do you expect? Anybody that becomes educated, and what did he say? Anybody? Why does every black person who gets education and money move away from other black people? They don't move away from other black people. They move in neighborhoods that are commensurate with what they currently earn. And the way this country has been set up over generations is, once you start reaching a certain level of wealth, there ain't a lot of black people that's going to have it. There's not a lot of old money in the black community. So if you're a millionaire, how many neighborhoods are loaded with black millionaires? You got to get that shit time to happen. I mean, look, I'm Gen X. When I was a kid, there were virtually no black millionaires. I mean, wealth has only been in the black community like 1 or 2 generations. There were no Rockefellers or Howard Hughes types when we were coming up. I mean, you didn't have that. You just didn't have any money in the black community. So you got to give it time, but there are starting to be communities of color where people are upper middle class. You got to give it a little time. Who the hell is Gaddafi? That's you said you had Gaddafi. Do you know who Gaddafi is? The former leader of Libya that was assassinated. What the hell does Gaddafi got to do with African Americans? It's kind of true though. Staying and building out is a thing. Well, like I said, you got to give it time. I mean, look, if you get an education, you got a decent amount of wealth, and you grew up in a neighborhood where half of the citizens were on welfare or working minimum wage jobs. I don't care what color you are, you're not going to stay in that neighborhood. It's just not going to happen. Doesn't matter. I mean, you think if a Hispanic goes out and gets their doctorate, or if like I said, a white person living in a trailer park you think they're going to stay there? They all move. You're going to move into an area where people live like you do, where you don't stand out, where you're not likely to get your shit ripped off. I mean, or you might just simply want a home that fits the salary you're making. In the neighborhood you're moving from don't have those. I mean, that ain't something just unique to black people. But it was a good try. Eminem stayed. No, he did not. Eminem got like a $5 million home somewhere in the suburbs of Detroit. No, or he had one. No, he didn't stay. The reason it costs so much is because they have to do it strand by strand. I don't get that. Black children, there are more than rap and basketball. Well, he mentioned education, so education makes that clear. Let's go back to the box here real quick. Tap the screen, by the way, or get us up to 120. Are we great yet? That's what we asked. Are we great as a nation yet? And we'll bring up the Blue. Good evening, the Blue. Are we great? Because that's what Trump promised. Do you think we're great now, or are we on the path to greatness? The Blue, good evening.
Hell no, Tim.
Hell no. About? Are we at least on the path to greatness?
No, we're on a path to the exact opposite. We're on a path to segregation is what we're on a path to.
What makes you say that?
I mean, this is just the beginning. Partying races from other countries is just the beginning. This is an excuse to, excuse me, I'm a little winded. Anyways, no, this is it's like the opening ceremony for what's coming.
What do you think Trump has in store for this country?
Oh, it's not necessarily Trump. Trump is the building blocks of it. This is a much bigger movement. This is the Heritage Foundation and all of these political
foundations under the scenes that want radical ideas. Trump is just a tool right now.
Give me 3 radical ideas. Three radical ideas you think we're headed towards now that we've elected Trump. Give me 3 things that are. You mentioned segregation, but give me 3 other ones. And segregation is pretty damn radical, by the way. But go ahead.
Poverty. A much bigger wealth gap.
Okay.
That's my main concern. I think that's relatively obvious right now.
Yeah.
And I would say being a police state.
Ooh. I do believe the wealth gap absolutely is going to happen because of Trump. Certainly with the tariffs, I think he's making that happen every time he plays a game with the tariffs. The market is fucked up. People make money. Poor people lose money. And then he brings it back to where it was. So the wealth gap, I'll certainly agree with you on. I don't know about poverty, though. You think it's going to hurt people that bad?
I think that it's a power shift back to corporations. I feel like corporations felt like they were losing a bit of power there, and I feel like Trump is their remedy to that. The reason he's the remedy is because he's so famous and people love him. They'll get behind just about anything he says, and it amazes me now that people will side with corporate America over small businesses.
Yeah. Well, even Mitt Romney said, though, corporations are people, too.
I mean, yeah, but they are filthy people.
How are they filthy? I mean, you, that's where you get your jobs from. Corporations are what hires us.
Yeah, but I mean, you always talk about, how mom and pop always talk about it was better in their day before the Walmarts and all the big corporations. And I firmly believe that. I can agree with that. I think the more money you throw into I honestly believe corporations are the main reason our economy is so bad.
Well, I mean, I'm going to take flack certainly from my MAGA side of the audience for saying this, but I'll kind of agree with you, but I'll go further. I'll say I think capitalism is what's doing it because we have an undenying love for money in this country, and we're willing to let the country go in whatever direction it may. If you can convince Americans that you're going to do something for them financially, they'll let you start a war. They'll let you do anything. Like I said, they'll let you bring back slavery. If you convince folks that you're going to put a little bit of extra money in their bank account, they'll turn a blind eye for you doing anything.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Capitalism is cancer. Yeah. I've said that for the longest time. I think we're headed towards such a dark direction. And I know we kind of go to this place every time I talk, but it's insane to me that we have the craziest thing to me right now is that we actually have ICE hanging out outside of immigration offices waiting to pick people up. Yeah. That's fucking, these people are doing what is right. They're doing the right thing and they're being punished for it.
Well, they the wrong, but they the wrong. They doing what's right, but they just happen to be the wrong skin color.
Yeah, and in 2025 we should be over that bullshit.
Well, I don't.
Cultural.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You're good.
No, I don't see a way around it. There are people who do believe that replacement theory is a real issue. And getting rid of all these brown people will help that out. Legal, illegal, whatever the case may be. If you're brown, we got to reduce the numbers. You can go to court and you can do it the right way and all. At the end of the day, we got to reduce brown numbers. So I don't think any of that's going to matter.
100%. That's what it is. It's replacement theory. And I remember when Jordan Peterson first brought that up quite a long time ago. Everyone was calling him crazy. Everyone's like, oh, that's a ridiculous idea, But the problem is Trump brought all of these racists out of the woodwork. I don't know if I'd call Trump directly racist, but he's definitely enabled racist.
I don't think racism is a deal breaker, but listen to this comment. I think this was kind of comical. I'll let you. LT in the comment says, "Stop grifting." He says, "There's something called due process. It has nothing to do with black, white, or brown. It's called due process. Try going to their country and pulling what they're pulling here." He's actually talking about due process now. I mean, it sounds like Allen Iverson. We talking about practice? Due process, really?
Due process has been biased for since due process has fucking existed. I mean, it's a nice concept, but it's been biased towards people of color and different ethnicities since the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this: if you got people, if you got ICE agents in plain clothes, garb waiting for you at the courthouse, it doesn't matter if you can due process or not. The fix is in. I mean, it doesn't matter what the judge rules. I mean, they're here to take you away. So due process is lost. I mean, you can't win. They're already here waiting to deport you after you walk out of the courtroom. So you're not getting due process. You're leaving. Even if you get due process, it's not going to result in anything. They've already determined you got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually saw a video earlier of a woman that was trying to walk to her apartment. This is in LA where the riots are going on. And the National Guard shot her with a rubber bullet.
Damn.
Literally, she's walking down the sidewalk. She crosses a road, and then she's kind of approaching. They're like kind of in a line. And you can hear her trying to explain that she needs to get to her house. And you can hear them screaming at her. And she's not like running towards them. She's not like screaming, waving her arms around, nothing. She's just kind of casually walking towards them, saying she's got to get past them, and they shoot her.
To me, you know what that almost sounds like, even though they're not using lead bullets? That's almost the same shit that's going on in Gaza, where you can, I mean, because they have unlimited powers. And I mentioned this earlier in the live, is that these federal law enforcement officials, ICE and all these folks.
Tim, did you hear about what's going on in Florida with Ron DeSantis?
What? The National Guard?
Ron DeSantis. No. Ron DeSantis has said that people will be fired if they don't help ICE. And they're so basically what he's saying is say you work with illegals, right? And ICE comes in and asks you a question and you don't answer truthfully, you can just be fired.
Well, what is he talking about? A state employee? I mean, if I work at Ace Hardware and they got illegals hiding in the back, and you can't fire me from a private business. I mean, I guess he's talking about.
He's requesting that all businesses comply with it.
Well, you can request it, but you can't fire somebody. The governor can't fire you from a private business.
No, I know. I'm not saying he's making it a law. I'm just saying this is how disgusting we've become.
He's doing dictator type shit in his state. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and it ain't gonna be long before he does similar to Trump. Probably start attacking businesses in that state.
And this is why I often bring up Nazi Germany when we talk. There are just so many parallels. This is the same thing they did to Germans in Nazi Germany. If they were to help hide Jews in any way, they would be punished.
There is some parallels. I know MAGA don't like to hear Trump being compared to Adolf, but there are some parallels to what we're doing now. The Anne Frank hiding in the attic thing, and you got immigrants hiding in attics. So, well, it would be okay if you came here legally. If you weren't an illegal, they're doing it to people that came here legally as well. There are plenty of people that have come here legally that have that they want to get rid of them for being at a protest or going to the wrong college. And I mean, so being here legally does not excuse you getting deported. Just because you're here legally, just because you got permanent residency, none of that excuses you. It helps, but they're deporting people that are not here illegally at all. So it does have parallels.
So did you say you went to Job Corps?
For a short period of time.
Okay, yeah, I went to Job Corps as well. I know they're different across the country. I know in some inner city areas they can be violent, and they can, there's some stuff that goes on. But the one I went to was in Colorado, and it was about the least violent place you could be. I mean, they have rules against this shit. If you were to lay a finger on someone, your ass is gone. The reason I bring this up is because I feel like we need to intermingle with cultures more in America. People need to get outside of their little shell.
I've always said that.
Because the reason I say that is because before I went to Job Corps, when I was like, I'd say, 15 through 17 years old, I hung out with a redneck crowd, and we were pretty racist. Like, I'm not gonna lie, we were racist towards Mexicans. I said a lot of racist shit. I went to Job Corps, and I started hanging out with black people and Mexicans because they were around me. I really didn't have a choice, and I realized they're no fucking different than me.
Yeah.
They like the same shit I like. They do the same shit. I mean, they play basketball. They like rap music. It's the same fucking thing. They're human beings, and I feel like when you're forced to be around that, you start to realize that. You start to realize they're not so different from you, and they're not out to get you, and they're not all criminals and all this shit. I mean, I met a lot of black people there that are still lifelong friends. So,
yeah, I've said that numerous times on the show. The best way to squelch the racism and the discrimination in this country is you got to put people together, because most of the racism comes from people that are not around. Like, I know blacks that are racist, for instance. Most of them have zero to little to any affiliation with whites at all, and most of the whites that are racist are the same way. They have no affiliation at all with the people they're racist to. That because if you're around them people, yeah, you start finding out some of these stereotypes. Like, for instance, I don't like watermelon, and we know what the stereotype is. I don't like this shit. I've had it as a kid. I don't eat it. A lot of the stuff. I'm not sitting around drinking fucking Kool-Aid. I've never been arrested. I mean, so when you actually start hanging around the people, you start realizing these stereotypes are not true. But if you don't intermingle,
to be honest, I found that I had more in common with African Americans than I did with my own race.
Wow.
After hanging out with them enough, you know what I mean? So, as far as fashion, music, television shows, movies, all that stuff, I tend to agree with them more. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. The best way to get past that stuff, unlike Morgan Freeman claiming you need to stop talking about it. No, you want to get past racism, hang around people from that race. That's the best way to get past it, is go hang around people that you think are garbage. And you'll find out that's, like you said, it's just another person like me living day to day trying to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the problem with experiencing that, too, is, I got out of Job Corps and I had to go back home eventually. And it was hard hanging out with my old friends, and it was hard hearing some of the stuff my family said. And
that sounds like the end of American History X. That's what that sounds like. Toward the end of American History X.
Yeah, no, I mean, American History X is an amazing fucking movie.
Yeah,
very powerful movie. I hear a lot of people saying that we shouldn't have movies like that because it makes people uncomfortable. No. Those movies are educational.
They don't like movies like that. They don't like movies like that because it portrays that community in a bad way. I mean, like in any of these movies, the first, the movie that showed the first black baseball player and how they're spitting on them, or the first Navy diver. A lot of folks don't like those movies because it does portray how bad they were really treating people. So they don't like it. Just like in schools, they want some of this stuff taken out of schools, because, I don't want to teach this because it does make some of the kids feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But
I love Quentin Tarantino movies precisely because they make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Django's a good one.
But it doesn't make me feel guilty. I don't understand why it makes other white people feel guilty. It doesn't make me feel guilty. I feel sorry, but I don't have any attachment to that.
Well, as opposed to feeling guilty, one thing I think it does is it gives credibility to what a lot of people of color are saying, is that, history was not taught accurately, and people have been trying to deny that for decades, but the more you see of this stuff, fact is, in our country, our history was not taught based on accuracy. It was taught based on exceptionalism. America's the best country on earth. That we taught our history that way, based on just simply teaching it accurately and letting people know, look, this country was founded by doing some pretty dirty and shady shit, as opposed to we sat down with the Pilgrims and had a nice gorgeous dinner, and we all shook hands, and the Native Americans just gave their country away and casually walked into the middle of Oklahoma and locked themselves on a reservation. That ain't how it happened in real life.
That's why they teach us that shit. That's why they teach us that shit at such a young age.
Yeah.
That's why they teach us the foundation shit at such a young age, because you really don't have the critical thinking skills to realize that maybe some of this shit is bullshit.
Yeah. You can put it on them when they're still in fairy tale land and they're believing in the Easter Bunny and shit. Yeah, but you're right. Once you get to the point where you got some critical thinking skills, you're like, this don't make any sense. I mean, so, and then they can also do their own research oftentimes and come to a different conclusion. But D Blue, I do got to move it on. Thank you.
Yes, sir. John Stewart, 2028. Let's get it.
Stephen A. Smith.
Hey, you know what? Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. Who do you think would be a better vice president pick with Jon Stewart? Would it be AOC, Stephen A. Smith, or Dave Chappelle? What do you think?
Dave Chappelle? What the fuck?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, have you not seen what he's been involved with politics?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He has some really hardcore opinions of the white man. That ain't going to work. I mean, he blames the white man for a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but hey, no, Stephen A. Smith. I like Stephen A. Smith. I don't like some of his sports takes, but I like his political takes.
Yeah, I think Stephen A.
I don't
is.
know that he'd make a good president off the bat, but like a high-ranking official or vice president, I could see that. That'd be all right.
He got 3.5 years to change your mind. I got to move it on to Blue. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, appreciate it. Looking in the comments, Sutton Booch, I've heard that in Germany they teach about American propaganda, so I would be interested about what the UK. Yeah, I mean, every country teaches propaganda. I once heard an American that went to Japan, had a child, military brat, grew up in Japan, and said in Japan, they teach World War II history as if America just started attacking them for no reason at all and then dropped 2 nuclear weapons on them. They don't even cover the Pearl Harbor attack much. Just out of the blue, America started attacking the nation of Japan. I mean, people, if you let people write history, they're going to write history that reflects them in a positive light. I mean, that's why when you talk to folks who support the Confederacy, it's all about love and pride and heritage. The slavery and all of the horrible atrocities, every country do that. They kind of gloss over that shit. I mean, if you let the bad people write a description on themselves, they're going to remove a lot of the bad. If Germany, for instance, had won World War II, Holocaust would have never happened. You would have just had a ton of Jewish people during one of the worst wars on the planet's history. They scattered. Some of them went to other countries. Some of them came up missing. Maybe some of them are KIAs in the war effort, but we didn't do nothing to them. A lot of them just came up missing. That's what happens in war. They would have wrote the Holocaust off as something that didn't happen. Just like in America, most of our atrocities from Black Wall Street on, they were writing that stuff out. They weren't going to tell you that happened. Bad people don't tell you they were bad. They write it out of history. Looking in the comments, I lived in the UK as a young child, and I've done American people scare me, bro. Why would you support MAGA? Well, you say American people scare you. Why would they? Well, there's reasons to support Trump. I mean, pro-life, pro-2A. Maybe you like the way Trump performs on the world stage. A lot of Americans believe that. The Ukrainians were the reason that the Russian war broke out. So they support Trump's the way Trump sees it. So there are legitimate reasons to support Trump. There are legitimate reasons to support Trump. Like I mentioned, replacement theory is another one. People believe that. I mean, these are different reasons to support Trump. You don't want the LGBTQ community to become norm. You don't want transgender to be everywhere. I mean, there are reasons. I mean, I'm not saying I favor those reasons, but I understand it. Totally understand. What's your playing by nature's rules skill issue? Don't understand what that question is. My grandmother left before stuff got crazy in World War II. It happened was because people were destitute, and needed someone to blame. That's a parallel too, by the way. Trump is look. Regardless of how you feel about Trump, I don't think it is up for debate that there are genuine parallels to what's going on in America right now in 1930s Germany, because we are scapegoating with little to zero empathy on these Hispanics the same way they were doing the Jewish folks. We haven't had a Kristallnacht. We haven't, but Trump's only been in office for like 5 months. We haven't had, I mean, we see that babies and cancer patients being deported, nobody gives a damn about them. Imagine what would happen if you had, let's say, 10 or 15 pissed off Mexicans go around and pop off a few cops. You could literally see the Mexican community wiped off the map in certain areas. You could literally see lynch mobs going around. I mean, they haven't done anything yet to spark a Kristallnacht like what happened in Germany. And I'm surprised because a lot of them are being treated like shit. I'm surprised some of them ain't said, look, you about to send me back to the cartel, or you're about to send me back to Haiti. Fuck it. I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm just going to grab this 9 and go out in the blaze of glory. I'm surprised that haven't happened yet. But all it takes is something like that to spark a lynch mob going through a Hispanic neighborhood, just offing people. I mean, this is what has happened historically. That is what caused Black Wall Street. That is what caused Kristallnacht and a host of other lynch mob operations throughout history. So if you get a few Hispanic, what did Jeremy say on the show earlier? Some of these protesters need to be shot. He's already talking that way. All it takes is for 1 or 2 of them to do something that's really heinous, and there are a lot of fuck around and find out people are already ready to act. It could easily happen. It could easily happen. If a couple of them get caught on video doing something that's really egregious, a lynch mob sparks out and they just going around taking out Hispanics at random. It could easily happen. Kingfish says, yes, but January 6th was a love fest. Name a better country and why you don't live there. Well, you can't just up and move, Aaron. You can't just up and move. Listen, I lived in Australia for 5 years. I won't go as far as saying Australia's better than America, because it depends on what you like about America versus what you like about Australia. But I definitely don't think you could say Australia's worse than America. It's at least equal. It's at least equal. So same thing with New Zealand. There's nothing I wanted to do in New Zealand that I couldn't do. In fact, there were things I could do there that I can't do here. It was safer to walk down the streets and shit. So you say name a better country. I think there's plenty of countries that are at least competitive to America. Depends on what you like here. I mean, the educational rates for kids in schools, we're not number 1 in that. Incarceration, we're not number 1 in that. Healthcare, survival rates, we're not number 1 in any of that stuff. Infant mortality rate, we're not number 1. I mean, there's a lot of countries. It depends on what you're judging. When you say America's the best country, it depends on what you're judging it for. In America, we tend to focus solely on money. But you take money out of the picture, start focusing on life expectancy, for instance. We don't live the longest. The health of our citizens. People on all sorts of, what do you call them? Drugs for mental illness and shit like that. You got kids that are diabetics now and shit like that. Some of that stuff that you hear Kennedy talking about, our food is not even as healthy. We're not number 1 in any of that shit. So when you ask the question, well, name a better country, give me your parameters. What's making you say America's the best? Yeah, you can own a bunch of guns. You can't do that everywhere. Is that what you're judging it on? Because marijuana's been legal in a host of countries long before America. Interracial marriage was legal in a host of countries long before America. A lot of countries, as a person of color, you didn't have Jim Crow laws to deal with. There's a host of reasons. Depends on what you are judging the country on when you say America's the best country on earth. It's a lot of parameters you got to take into consideration. And in most cases, the happiness index and stuff like that, America's not, and in many of those cases, America's not even in the top 10. It's not even in the top 10. Crime rate, corruption, it's not even in the top 10 in a lot of areas. Now somebody said, but y'all don't want that conversation. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you want to point out, look, every country is fed propaganda that you're in the best place on earth. That's what the leadership's job is to do. But if you actually can get out and about and travel, the fact is in America, because we think we are on top, a lot of full-grown Americans have never left the country. Don't have a passport, none of that. They just sitting in America thinking they're in the best place on earth. Get out and travel. Get out and travel. You'll realize you can really, really enjoy yourselves. Just look at it like this. There's large groups of people that live here, like Mexicans and Honduras. Avoid the groups that live here. Think about all of the folks that you don't see. You don't see a whole bunch of French living in America. You don't see a whole bunch of Canadians living in America. You don't see a whole bunch of Norwegians. There's a reason why that is. Because they think where they're totally fine where they live at. Their countries actually are better in many ways. The countries you see, because everybody always say, well, everybody want to come here. No, they don't. It's developing in third world countries that want to come here. You don't see a whole lot of people from the UK living in America, do you? They're happy where they're at. So get a passport and visit some of those countries that you don't see a lot of them here, and you'll find out their countries ain't that bad. Their countries are not that fucking bad. No one is safe in the U.S. I'm praying for you, actually. Yikes. Yeah, go travel. Just don't expect to be able to get back in now. And that is a warning that needs to be heeded. I would not, I would be cautious about traveling under the Trump administration. I would really be cautious about traveling under the Trump administration. Certainly if you weren't born here, I don't care if you got citizenship. If you were not born in America, I mean, hell, to be honest with you, even if you do got citizenship, and if you're one of my international viewers, stay the fuck away. Stay the fuck away. I don't even think we should be allowed to host the, what is it, the FIFA? What is the soccer? What is that next year we're hosting? The World Cup. I don't understand why the authorities, the governing bodies that are over that, is going to still let that be hosted in the United States. If some other country was doing what we're doing, we wouldn't participate in it. I don't know why they're still letting us host that. Would you want to come and watch your Brazilian athletes play and risk flying into the United States right now? If you were from one of those countries? I mean, because a lot of the soccer world, there's a lot of them that are Hispanic. We're not very Hispanic friendly right now. So, I mean, I don't understand why they're still allowing us to host that, other than what Denkow said is money. But shit, I mean, you might make some money and end up having to fight to get some of your citizens back. Trump will detain you and hold your ass for 6 months without a second thought. Yeah, you might end up coming home a few months late. And MAGA won't give a damn at all. So I don't know why they're allowing us to host that. In my opinion, they should probably rule us out for that. I mean, like I said, all of the citizens that are coming from these countries, you really want to come over here to watch your athletes play knowing you might not get let out? Why do you consume propaganda, says Maniac 207? Who doesn't? Any media outlet you watch, any newspaper you read, any television, I mean, propaganda is every fucking word. If you're reading Truth Social or X, you're getting it every day. It's unavoidable. You're getting it from whatever media outlet you're watching, up to and including the president, Haitian migrants eating cats and dogs, all of that shit. I mean, you're getting propaganda no matter where you're getting it from. You're not gonna get that. You're not gonna avoid that. Women aren't alone, though. I don't know what that means there. But let me go back to the next caller here. Okay, go. What does that say? I'll just do it over. Okay. I don't know why it's freezing like that.